What's up, viewers and listeners? My name is Jay. I'm a registered nutritionist based here in Bristol, working with BJJ enthusiasts across the globe. On today's episode, we had Matthew Benyon. He is very much involved with Scramble, Polaris, and Unathletic. He has a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu and has traveled the world learning from Jiu-Jitsu from multiple different countries. If you aren't aware of who Matt is, you will very much will after this podcast. In this podcast, we talked about his experiences abroad, running Polaris, weight cutting, thoughts on steroids in the sport, how to make your default medals look that much better, some interactions he's had with some of the world's top grapplers, and much, much more. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, if you're not subscribed, please click that button and turn on post notifications for further uploads. Thank you for watching and listening, and let's get into episode 14. Even though I say 13 at the beginning, I'm only human after all. Oos. A quick word about one of our sponsors, Grapplers Soap. The team wanted to find, the best possible defense against skin infections, which normally we get from each other or off the mat. This in turn led Dan and the team into researching more about soaps and essential oils, which turns out has been used for thousands of years actually as a natural defense against infection during the plague. Slightly twisted story here, but grave robbers in England knew of the power of essential oils and smothered themselves in it before exhuming and stealing corpses. Useless fact of the day for you there. But Dan and the team had tried several soaps before, but none of them just simply wowed them. So he started to make his own. Months more research, trial and error led to finally this golden nugget, Grapplers Soap, which you'll be pleased to know the recipe is CPR registered and approved by pharmacists. The use of a specific method to lock in the amazing natural smell, no cheap fragrances used here, which means the soap and use smell great and stand the best chance of staying healthy. Although the soap was developed for grapplers alike, it is now widely being used by non-grapplers, and Dan is always delighted to hear from customers about how it's cleared up dry and itchy skin, or relieved eczema, or just simply made you feel awesome. The smell alone has been a massive hit with men and women alike. So enough waffle for now. Go and get yourself some now at www.mrbassets.com, or go check out their Instagram page for some very funny memes at Grapplers Soap. Thank you guys. One final sponsor shout out to the team at Inner Chimp. Inner Chimp is a brand name that really speaks to grapplers and fighters, one we can believe and relate to on a personal level. Inner Chimp is simply catchy, and with small tweaks can be your general gym wear and casual wear and rash guards like this for men, women and children. Inner Chimp is ethically produced and has turned down cheaper production overseas to ensure this. Understanding we only have one Earth, which we need to look after. This is at the forefront of their production decisions, and we want you, our listeners and viewers, to have a sense of accomplishment in knowing that you are doing your part when buying their products. Inner Chimp tees are 100% organic cotton. Their packaging, 80% recycled cardboard, and all of their products are designed to last. Their production and manufacturing is in the UK, trying and aiming to be as eco-friendly as possible, leaving close to zero global footprint. But to put it simply, Inner Chimp has a massive passion for the sport, attention to detail, and our planet in mind, and always at the forefront of your own Inner Chimp. Go check out their website, www.inner-chimp.co.uk, or go check out their Instagram at inner_chimp. Thank you for your time. Right, guys, episode 13. My name is Jay. I'm the host of the BJJ Nutrition Podcast. I help, obviously, BJJ enthusiasts across the world make weights, obviously, safely without anything silly with their weight cuts and perform to their best abilities. For episode 13, we have a fantastic guest with us, which we're really honoured to have. We have the infamous... Matt. Not just any Matt. Matt is obviously this is Matt Benyon. He is very well known, obviously, within the jiu-jitsu game itself. Like I said, I'll let you introduce yourself in terms of everything you've done in the past and stuff that you're currently doing now as well, type thing, and take it from there.
So I'm probably most known for Scramble, which is a brand I've been running for like 15 years with my business partner Ben, sat outside. Well, he's working. He's not just sat outside. Yeah.
He tells a lie. He's having a sports massage in the kitchen.
And also Polaris, which we're part owners of, and various other ventures of varying sizes that have come and gone Probably also Unathletic is the other one. Yeah.
My favourite brand, honestly. Love it. There we go. You trying to suggest something? We've heard some dramas caused the other day, obviously, with...
I like the casual... plug. Yeah, it's casual plug.
I'm just going to point at him with that bottle there. Yeah, that's the
I took that on holiday, and I suddenly, as I was going through the security, I was like, I wonder if someone's going to like not have a sense of humour here.
I did a nutrition sort of talk for Bristol Sport Foundation, so it's all the local kids in the area and everything. And I'm about to walk out with my water, I was like, I can't really take
Probably not a good
Yeah,
idea.
probably not for this future. So I just ended up, I was like, maybe I could just turn the other way and just be unathletic. That would be the perfect thing. But yeah, definitely one of my favourite brands at the moment. And even the content you're producing is just hilarious. The fact that I'm not engaging just the cast in the slightest bit. I'm just like, I love it. Just absolutely, absolutely class to say the least. But
Nice.
You've obviously got the brands obviously behind the company, which is great. The other thing obviously we're here to obviously talk about will be your sort of background within jiu-jitsu itself, your experiences obviously training, nutrition, all that type of stuff. So for the average listener out there who may not be aware of you and also your background, do you want to sort of break that down a little bit on where you started?
In terms of jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, where did that all start?
I'm a black belt under Yuki Nakai, who is the Japanese legend that fought Hickson Gracie in that famous tournament. I've been training for nearly 20 years, which is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, considering how bad I am. I started in Australia.
Okay.
It was really old school. It was a gym called Pump House.
Yeah.
It was like a hardcore weightlifting gym, and there was a little guy there that had a purple belt, and he was doing classes. We'd literally move all the people were doing like pump classes or whatever.
Yeah.
They'd move out the way. We'd roll the mats out. We'd do jiu-jitsu. Summer was no gi. Winter was gi. Friday was no rules. That was yeah.
Is that when you brought in a few knives and stuff like
No,
that?
like ballet tudo. I did it in Australia for a year, I think, and then I moved to Japan with my wife, or she was, my girlfriend at the time, and I was pretty obsessed at that point. So priority number one was finding a gym.
It's definitely a thing. I think anyone could agree. As you start getting into jiu-jitsu, all of a sudden, everything around your life
pretty ridiculous.
Is like, where's the nearest jiu-jitsu gym?
Yeah,
Even my parents and the family chat, I'm thinking about going somewhere in Greece, and they're like, what's the island?
Yeah.
There's a gym over there. Yeah, we can go there.
I don't train on holiday. No, I'm usually pretty good. If I'm with my family, I won't train. But and then I was there for 4 years. I went up to purple belt, then came back here. Purple belt was still quite rare at the time. That was 2008.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's not that long ago, but in Bournemouth we had Alex D'Souza was a black belt,
sure.
And then all his best students were sort of blue belts at the time, including Jeff Lawson. And then I rocked up with my purple belt, and they were like, I've told this story so many times, but they were all really deferential. Oh wow, what would you do in this position? I'll show us some techniques. I was like, yeah. And then sparring came, and Jeff they fucking murdered me. I was like, oh shit.
It's like a Ron Burgundy stitch, Baxter, where's my coat?
Yeah. So, and that was it. I've been here since then, training, moved around a couple of different places, but now I'm at Ippon with Jeff. And the level there is really, really good.
Nice.
Yeah, there's 12 black belts or something, if we're lucky,
Yeah.
if they all get together. So, yeah.
I'm intrigued, obviously, again, touching on the nutrition seminar I did for the kids last night, and I asked them, obviously told them what I do in terms of training and stuff like that, and said, anyone else here do jiu-jitsu? And no word of a lie, half the class put their hands up.
Really?
And I was like, wow. And again, it was a good mix of boys and girls in there as well. And I was like, okay, cool. And obviously a few of them I mentioned, obviously, Sweatbox, Pedro, RDA, whatever it could be. And I was like, that's interesting. So obviously, you even take it back 5 years ago, you wouldn't have even had that much. There'd be some people going, what's this type thing? What was it like, obviously, two of you in Australia, rolling out on that type of thing, and everyone going...
No, it was a proper class.
Yeah.
It was, what was it at that point? Just a niche sport, I suppose. But there was a few Brazilians that had left Brazil and found a similar life, in Australia, that you could surf and the weather was nice and stuff like that. So there was probably more than in the UK at that point. I did the New South Wales Open, and it was pretty... That was my first competition, and it was pretty well attended. So it was going on.
That's interesting. It might be my naivety then with this. Would you not think that then there should be more, maybe bigger name Australian competitors coming out of Australia if it's been around for that, especially if they had that Brazilian start or heritage from that point?
I think it's more a case of the Brazilians being so dominant, having such a massive head start. I think there was loads of really solid Australians. Like Kit Dale, before he was like Hollywood Kit Dale, was wrecking shop in like Brazil and everything. I used to read his blog when he was like a purple brown belt. He was murdering people.
Okay, interesting.
They've been good for a while. Yeah.
So then obviously you've got the likes, obviously Craig Jones being the obvious.
Yeah, and then Craig and Lachlan and all those guys.
And all those
Jeremy
type of guys.
Skinner.
But it doesn't seem to be as much, like I said, or again, it might be just the fact, obviously my bias of watching the Worlds recently, that predominantly the majority of the crowd was just Brazilian altogether type stuff, and it's just like, okay, well, where's the rest? Where's the representation of the other countries type of thing? But
they've just had such a massive head start. But it won't go on for long. Americans are starting to take over, especially in no-gi.
American Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, it's almost like the Brazilians have just gone, fuck it, we'll just let them have no-gi.
They're too relaxed.
we'll do the gi. We'll do the gi. Yeah. We'll take that back.
Oh, God, that's interesting. So did you find, obviously, again, with different countries of training and stuff like this, different styles were coming out of each and every sort of area? I don't know, obviously you get it with gyms themselves, but did you find certain countries had different ways of approaching things? Or?
Yeah, I think... there's definitely sort of different flavours, but then in every country and every gym, there's people of different size and different temperaments and mentalities. Like, I guess overall, you could say in Japan, it was more technical, but you'd still get like absolute units in Japan that just want to smash it, especially from a judo background. I used to do judo just like for fun, but I used to go to a high school and it was policemen and high school kids basically, and like so good, really? So powerful, But then, like on the other hand, one of my favorite training partners in Japan was a dentist. He was like 45, tiny little guy, not aggressive in the slightest, but the most incredible jiu-jitsu, like really fluid and really technical. Nice. But you've got people like that in all countries, haven't you?
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. I would have thought, obviously, again, from Japan, in terms of the other cultures that they have in that sort of area, being, obviously, you got sumo, you obviously got wrestling to the more the entertainment factor, and obviously judo.
Oh, their amateur wrestling is amazing as well. Yeah. Especially the women, they're like world champions.
Would you say their stand-up was actually quite significant in terms of it? It's, again, obviously, I know you've got the culture of just like, don't just pull guard, and I think there's a reel the other day, I was saying, this is 80cc, and it was like a drop, and then both of them just sit down type thing, so...
the chances of running into someone who is also a judo black belt was much higher, for sure. Yeah. But then, like, Japanese people get really obsessed with things, so if they're a guard player, they'll be like...
The guard player.
Yeah. But also I trained in Pariestra, which is Shuto. So it's like we had a little gym that was just one room, but sort of an imaginary line in the middle. And on one side they were doing MMA, and on the other side jiu-jitsu. So I think Pariestra has a bit of a mentality of not neglecting
certain areas.
Yeah, I mean everyone's kind of upping their game a little bit now. But then also I've been training with Jeff Lawson for years, and his judo is fucking phenomenal. So mine is. I'm still shit. But like, if you can break a grip and like not immediately pull guard, people are like, wow, do you know judo?
Love it. Is this where I feel like this is where you're inspiring yourself with the Unathletic brand type of thing? Like,
the Unathletic is just easy. That's just like, there's so many jokes waiting to be made.
I've been wanting to tell you this ever since we've obviously got this arranged. I generally think you need to bring out a rash guard, which is like the Tesco value image from back in the day, but have that as the full rash guard, like Tesco value.
You need to give that a bit of context. So we started going up to Shane, and we were like, oh, dude, we should... totally do like because he's obsessed with Greg's Donuts.
Shane?
Big, he loves Greg's Donuts. We were like, you should definitely do Goth Lord in the Greg's text and colour on a rash guard. Because Paul obviously owns subguards we're trained, and he was just like, and he gave it a good thought, didn't he? He was like, oh, okay, maybe. And on the way down, we were like, we should do a rash guard. We should just do Tren Hard.
Yeah, train hard.
Train hard.
Yeah, I mean,
train hard.
I've seen a few comedy T-shirts floating around. The guys in London have got one, haven't they? It's just it's ripe the jiu-jitsu world is ripe for jokes. That's why Craig Jones is riding this massive wave now, because it's been so serious for so long, and like Gordon takes himself so seriously. So for an Aussie like Craig, it's just like, this is easy.
It's an enjoyment factor for me, again, from like previous stuff that I've done before in terms of like the bodybuilding world, CrossFit world, like how everyone's there weighing out every single gram of rice and broccoli and all this type of stuff. And then there's some people who've just taken the mick out of it. I know we were talking about Vibram shoes, and there was a phase where if you want ultimate performance within your leg gains, you must get the analogy of your feet in the right position on the squat or the leg press and this stuff. And then a couple of guys came out and said, you do know they look like marigolds? And they're like, okay. And then they started doing sketches of literally putting these marigolds on and then actually putting them on the leg press type of thing. And I was like, it's true though. Like, it doesn't need to be that serious. You can still have a bit of fun, which is good. Sorry, a bit of a tangent there altogether. Obviously then, I keep on saying obviously, I'm trying my best not to say it. I'm sorry. Right. How many times have I said it now?
Do you honestly want to know how many times you said it?
It's probably in the
That's
20s.
Currently 17. Since we started, you said obviously 3 times in the intro. I'm going to start keeping account of this.
Well, it is a word, isn't it?
Yeah, but I keep on saying it too much.
No, don't worry about it.
It's fine.
It's either obviously or and you go for obviously every time. But it's not obvious.
I'm a big like guy.
Yeah.
It's like a bit northern, like.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well travelled,
Okay.
isn't it? That's what it is. Well travelled.
Well travelled. That's the one. What's your competing history? I think you put up something the other day about, it's a flashback from 5 years ago of competing at brown belt or something like this. What's that been like for you? Have you done much? Or
No, I don't like competing. I had my coach in Japan was amazing because he would force people to compete. There was no like, he would,
walk in, you're competing on weekends.
That's what it was like. And he would fill the forms out because it was all in Japanese. He'd be like, here you go.
What weight category I'm in? Ultra? Hold on, what's going on here?
Well, I used to be 67 kilos in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, because it was so hot. Like from like April to September, October, it was just drenched like humidity.
Wow.
And I used to cycle to work, and the diet is fairly healthy. I was so skinny. I think that's why I struggled when I came back to the UK, because most people were just bigger and stronger. But competition, I mean, I did average. I competed a lot in Japan, got like 1 or 2 golds, a bunch of silvers, loads of bronzes.
Defaults.
Yeah, no. I got a couple of defaults, yeah. Fuck it, I'll take them. The trick is that you just hang them up, forget how it happened, and then later on you're like,
a few more.
Hey, it still shows that you did the work.
Yeah.
And what happened? I came back to the UK, still like I had the motivation left over from Japan. I did like the British Open or something, but no, never really did too great. No, I get injured a lot.
Yeah.
And what did I do? I swapped to Ippon, where I'm training now, as a brown belt. Trained quite hard there for a while. Felt much better than I had done previously. Did the Bournemouth Open. I think I lost, but I was like, I've got a slightly better handle on it now. Yeah. I want to do a few more of these. And then I got my black belt. I was like, fuck. Now what am I going to do?
It's definitely not at the same level. I had the same journey where
black belt suddenly.
Yeah, I we're going from white to blue. And in my head, I was like, I know obviously all stars, they have the absolute like belt, and I'm like, I want that belt. I've got a couple of goals, I want that belt, and I'm like, right, gunning for this week before the competition. Here's your blue belt. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I wanted that belt so badly.
What, you want it to be white belt champion? Yeah.
And I'll say completed it, done. Get a Sharpie, I'll just start, like, there we go, I will do.
I competed, was it last year or the year before, at black belt against a guy that I've known for ages called Chris. And it was good, like, because the training at Ippon can be really, really hard. Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, Dan runs a sort of comp class. And when I was competing, I was like, this is, the comp class is on par with this. I felt pretty good. I thought I'd won, actually, and then I looked at the scoreboard after. I was like, fuck, I lost by an advantage. But I didn't feel like terrible, So that's my comp history. Yeah.
That's cool. So with obviously the weight difference there, obviously again, I wasn't again, aware that I said obviously again. I'm going to try and ignore it for the time being. Moving from 69 kg and then upwards, did you say it was a struggle to put on weight? Did you say, or was it easy to put on weight? Is what you were trying to refer to, or?
Well, I definitely felt undersized when I came back from Japan, so I struggled a bit with people that were just very physical, because it was, as I said, the purple belt was still fairly rare, and I also had no money, so I did a couple of sessions at Alex's, but I literally couldn't afford it. So I was doing judo, because judo's dead cheap, and then, because I was living quite far away as well, I started running little classes, but it was more like just open sparring. I was looking for other people to spar with. Yeah, and then Jeff came, and he bought a guy called Magic came, a Polish guy, and they were fucking so good, and very strong, and very, MMA backgrounds or judo backgrounds. Yeah. So I was struggling, and I felt like I needed to get a bit bigger, but I didn't. It wasn't through training or any type of eating regime. I think just eating like chips and fucking shit English food, I just got a bit bigger.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And so did you find that your weight gradually put on? Was it something you were monitoring as time went on, or was it just the fact you realised your strength was picking up? How did you sort of like realise that, it seems to be working? So you've got to have a cause to then try and solve it, if you see.
Yeah. No, I definitely noticed that I felt less what's the word? It just I felt a lot safer.
Yeah.
A bit thicker, with a little bit more weight. And then I sort of dabbled with some strength training, but that's probably my biggest regret, is not taking that seriously early, because people say it's like a suit of armor, isn't it, that you put on, if you're going to go, you can't just go to jiu-jitsu and smash your bones against people all day long and then go home and sit down and then go back and do it the next day. Like, you have to do something to keep yourself safe.
100%.
So
I think it's nice for you to say that as well, especially as things are evolving within this jiu-jitsu world that we live in, is the fact that we need to start taking into consideration some strength training. We need consideration, obviously, our nutrition, our well-being and stuff like that. So obviously you're sporting a good old Whoop band as well. We've got one here.
Man,
I'm doubled up. I've got Apple and the
Whoop.
Whoop.
Yeah, this is a new edition.
I've literally only got mine 3 weeks ago, I think it was.
Yeah, about the same as me then.
Yeah, and I was simply just waiting for them to get the armbands in for rolling, and it just literally just took forever.
You guys are late on the curve. I had my Whoop about 3 years ago. Really? I was an early adopter of Whoop 3.0. Loved it.
Not wearing it now, though?
I'm not, no. I don't like the pay model. I don't like paying monthly. That's the only gripe I have with it. Everything else is fantastic. The data dump you get is insanely helpful. I'm not telling people to get Whoop. I'm just saying
they are good.
It is good.
Here's a referral code.
Sponsor us, please. Yeah.
Someone used my referral code and they're like, "Oh, here's this," and I was like, "Who's Alice?" I'm like, I got no idea. I'm now tempted to put on my stories like, "Alice, thanks for referring me or using my code, but I don't know who you are." Like, is it maybe it's a marketing ploy to encourage me? Like, someone's referred me. It's referred someone else type thing. But no.
Do you know why that is?
Why?
Every time you refer a person, you get a month free.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've already paid for the year up front.
So but think about this: if you're a bit monthly and you refer 12 people, that's your year paid up.
All right, guys. Yeah, I'll send out my Whoop number in the description.
There we go.
Have a referral.
We'll get Matt's one in the below, and everyone can just sign up to it.
We'll see. I imagine you'll probably get way more referrals. You have like a 5 year. You have 5 year referrals, like basically sorted for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So with the strength increase and obviously training and stuff like that was good. Did you always what weight did you compete at out of interest then? When you were back in the UK?
I think I went through a period of lightweight, which is 76.
Yeah.
And then that became harder to meet, and now I'm like 80, 81.
Okay.
So that is, what's that, middleweight? 84 is the limit, is it?
85, so that would be medium.
Yeah, middleweight, I think.
Yeah, middleweight, that's the one. So how have you found that transition from the lighter guys to sort of, again, heavier guys? Again, you felt that as a bit of a change. I appreciate, obviously, you said you haven't competed loads and stuff, but...
I go to the, I train every week, so I'm familiar with it. I probably feel now that I'm stronger than I've ever felt, and there's a couple of people who are like ridiculously strong, and I can feel that I'm going to lose that game with them. But on average, I don't feel weaker than other people like I used to.
Nice. And again, obviously with the weight gain that you had from there, was there, again, any intentions with that? Or again, just natural from there? Natural, yeah. And do you think that's anything to do with your lifestyle? Obviously, starting up Scramble, starting up other companies, family, kids, all that type of stuff? Do you think anything is...
No, I think I was probably artificially low in weight in Japan because I was working so hard, cycling everywhere, training a lot, sweating a lot, and eating, slightly healthier food. I think that brought me down below probably what my baseline should have been.
Yeah.
And then I've just naturally, as I've got older, put on a bit of weight, and I do a little bit more training now. So
it's interesting to see about environments. There was a study done with an individual who lived in different countries, and for people who aren't be aware about this, is again not to sound cliched with the how your environment, who you surround yourself with type of thing, but it was interesting to see the differences in terms of what food groups they were going for, their movement patterns, their sleep quality, their recovery and stuff like this. And it was all based on the cities that they went around, and they said that the sleep quality reduced when he lived in Spain because of the sunlight hours and that type of stuff. Step count went through the roof when he was living in London.
Yep.
Went to Dubai, his fruit and veg content went down because the price of it is just extortionate. And it's just interesting to see that, again, as you kind of mentioned,
it definitely makes an impact.
You being in a different country obviously had that all together. Interesting enough then, Australia to UK then, was there much difference obviously in food choices there? I know obviously there's that joke of like Tam Tams and like Vegemite and all that type of stuff. Tim Tams, that's the one. Yeah. Did you feel like there was much difference over there at all? Or?
I was just a young idiot when I lived in Australia. I got no idea. I was just drinking beer and like eating burgers constantly. No idea.
Heard it here first, Unathletic brand. Eat burgers, drink some beer.
Well, we released a Scramble t-shirt that said train hard, eat burgers. Sold out. It was well popular. It was a collaboration with a burger restaurant in Kobe.
Really? Love that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I want to dive into a little bit, obviously, with you running Polaris, or helping the Polaris and all that type of stuff with that. What's it been like in terms of seeing athletes' weights, in terms of, obviously I'm not asking for names or like any horrific stories, but how's that been? Has every athlete made weight absolutely fine, or has there always been some hiccups and stuff?
Yeah, there has been. So we, nothing major, but we really discourage it now. Like we'll ask people, what's your weight? And if, sometimes you got, this guy's 80, this guy's 80, and they sign a contract at 72. It's like, what's the fucking point? You're both going to do that and then go straight back up. So sometimes we try and find somewhere in the middle. But we've had a couple of women. I won't say who, but one. She was delirious, absolutely delirious, and she was messaging us at like 8 a.m. Can I weigh in? And I was like, fuck yeah, quick. Gary Tonon was a bad one.
Yeah.
When he fought Imanari, he was desperate to fight Imanari, and we were like, Imanari's this big and weighs 50 something, 60 something kilos, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he got on the scales, was still quite far off, and we didn't know what to do because he looked bad. Yeah. And he was like, fuck it, I'll make the weight. We're like, oh, okay. And I think he put a bin bag on and started running around the block. The worst thing is, one of the guys that was working for us picked up the scales and dropped them, and they sort of went, eh. And it looked like they weren't going to work, and I couldn't handle the stress because Gary was killing himself to make the weight, and it looked like the scales had broken. I just left the room. I was like, no, I can't handle this.
I couldn't think of anything worse.
And it started showing weird weights. Like,
Gary, you've weighed it at 30 kilograms. That bin bag.
And Imanari just kept sticking his head in like, he's going to make the weight, isn't he? We're like, yeah, will you accept any sort? No.
Very stoic. Just like he's agreed this. Oh gosh, did Gary make the weight in the end? Or yeah, that's not too.
But
bad.
It was unpleasant. Nathan Orchard's also cut about 9 kilos in the week of. What's his name? Pal Harris cut a fuckload of weight. Yeah. I went to see him in the hotel room. He was just lying on the bed, like covered in towels, just like in a coma. So but I hate it. I hate watching it.
I think, well, from your experience and obviously from running the shows, do you feel like the weight cutting experience has like evolved a bit more since obviously or do you think it's still been, as things are developing, you look at the UFC and other sort of individuals who are trying to level up people's games in terms of how to do things properly, right? Obviously myself being a big advocate of the fact that the water cutting phase is like the last thing we go to, rather than you go to your local Bournemouth and you see people running around with sweat bags. I'm like, you should have done way more to do this type of thing. But do you think it's got better?
I'm just trying to think. There's a couple of people that have done it and seemed fairly happy and healthy. Yeah, I still think overall, it's like what you were saying before you started recording. Yeah, people are just really, it's like bro science still hanging around. Yeah,
still hanging around. No, I'm hoping, like I said, as more awareness of the topic comes out. It's not, I think, similar to, again, other industries where we talked about, again, hate to refer back to bodybuilding, so I'm a little bit anti it. Sometimes I say abs don't sub people, all this type of stuff, doing a little pristine, etc. If you take back sort of 10 years ago, right, the word steroid out of like the bodybuilding world, right, they would not say a single thing about it, right? And then only, I think, earlier this year, Phil Heath, obviously Mr. Olympia, came out. So this is the steroid cycle that I was taking. And it now seems to be quite open and more talked about, which is nice. It's not this deep, dark secret everyone knew. And it seems to be that within the weight cutting world, within MMA, within Jiu-Jitsu, now we've got a few more day before weighing setups, there seems to be this aura of like, oh, we don't talk about this. This is a deep, dark secret. And it's the case of, well, actually, the more deep, dark secret we keep it, the more issues we're going to come up against. And it's kind of the safe sex talk of saying, right, let's just talk about this. What's going wrong?
I feel like the Americans and the UFC fighters are at the cutting edge, surely, of weight cutting.
Yeah, we got some good guys out there. Jordan Sullivan, the fight dietitian, is one of them. Yeah. He's really good.
I still probably disagree with it as a concept, because especially when both fighters are doing it, it seems so pointless. It's like who's slightly better at cutting weight? If they're both just touching that weight and then coming back up again, why not just fight at this weight?
Yeah, I think it's only when it comes to having that distinct advantage, we say, within certain weight categories, where obviously, again, we look at Conor going through obviously all the weight ranks and all that type of stuff, and then we look like Skeletor when he was over. Yeah. Was it 135, was it? I think he was, obviously, back in the day when he first moved.
Yeah, it looked terrible.
Awful. And then obviously he's moved up from there. But I think you're very much right. Once you get to that, I think you even earn the right, should we say, at that level, if you're going on shows like Polaris, to kind of say, well, why, if we're both 80, why do we need to go through this, right? You're not going to, like, unless you're shitter at weight cutting than I am, and that's the only advantage I'm going to get here, type of thing. But it looks like you're about to try.
I was just going to ask, Matt, in terms of, with Polaris, then, with like weights and stuff, do you guys follow the IBJJF weight categories?
Lately, it's more we follow MMA weight categories. So, yeah.
Okay.
MMA.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was like, because I've seen like quite a few Polarises now, and the squads one I found really interesting.
Squads is awesome.
Because I was sat there going, oh man, the weight differences between some of these people. And this is what me and Jay was saying on the drive up as well. Like, if you go to your local comp, you're worried, oh, that guy's going to be like 2 kilos heavier than me or whatever. But if you're on the mats, in an open mat, you're over 100 kilo guy, you don't care, because you know him. If you're in squads, some of the guys there, like Gio Martinez against Dan Strauss, you're like, oh my god, that's a huge weight
stuff
difference.
That you would never normally see.
Yeah. And going even further back for like the original Polaris when it was in Japan, when you guys did that, like Dan Strauss against Sakuraba, and it just like
that was Quintet.
The Quintet, sorry, that's what I meant. And you're just like, that's a huge weight difference between the people. But it was
Quintet was spectacular.
It's crazy. Like, it's just. I don't know. I feel like the weight categories really do hold some incredible matches back. If both fighters go, I'm cool to roll, not a problem.
That's what people get excited about absolutes, don't they?
Yeah.
That's what we want to see Mikey Musumeci take on the Ultra, basically. Every time we want to see that happen and see him pull through somehow. But
next, we already announced it. Next Polaris is an absolute GP. So.
Ooh. You got any native? Well, not actually. That's not in a position for that. But I imagine obviously there's been a lot of interest for that. Have you had many people sort of put their hat in the ring for that already? Or
yes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Can't wait to see how that
happens. The contracts are out, so once they get signed, we can start announcing them.
See, I was going to ask, have they got to compete before, like the Invitational?
We might leave a spot open and do a contenders. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Imagine that absolute. UK.
That'd be. Yeah, let's do it. Call up all the big boys we can think of to come in.
I think of Mark Rich straight away. Well, get him in there.
I think we're going to have to be selective, because it's 30 grand prize money. So I don't think we can just do kind of first come, first serve, whoever wants it. I think we'll probably get a load of applications and then choose the best.
Yeah, I know obviously the Somerset Open we had recently, they had a qualifier for Enyo, I think it was.
Yeah.
For the female absolute in there, so that was obviously a nice little setup. But again, obviously, I know you guys do your own thing type thing. But
no, we were talking to Simon about that yesterday, but we said no, but we're going to do it because we have Instagram subscribers, but it's a little bit quiet at the moment. But when we do Contenders, we'll stream that for subscribers.
That would be nice. That would be cool. Really interesting. So yeah, heard it here first, guys. You may have the opportunity to get on the GP.
Well, it's not guaranteed yet. It depends. If like, Craig Jones is like, hey, can I jump in that tournament? Then he's getting that spot.
I can't take fingers. I can try and be as entertaining. I'll put on like I don't know. I'll talk about autism and steroids as much as you want.
Your first entry has to be you have to have a cauliflower ear, at least one, because otherwise you don't get in.
It's all good. It's all good. Where was I going next? I've forgotten my trail of thought there for a second. We're talking about weight categories and stuff. Any reason why you moved from again? Did you start with IBJJF, obviously sort of weight categories, and move on to MMA type of thing, or was there any reasoning behind it? Or
there was. A lot of the reason is because we're broadcast on UFC Fight Pass.
Right,
I'm with you. We like to entice MMA people over, so it's the easy weight classes for them to understand.
Familiarize,
And then I would like to clear something up, because quite often we get loads of comments when we put somebody from the UFC, like somebody who's, top of their game was a few years ago, still active. Why are you putting all these UFC guys in? It's like, because we're fucking broadcast on UFC Fight Pass. There's literally 5 million MMA fans or something like that on this network. So if we put an MMA guy in, they're going to watch it. Yeah. That's the end of it. And, the amount of comments we get questioning that, it's like there's one MMA guy on the entire card. And
everyone just goes in on it straight
as if we don't think about things. We just go, let's just make these matches. As if we don't put like hours and hours.
I've seen the wheel. You literally just spin it. Yeah.
Well, it's like touching on that, like Chris Weidman against Livesey. I always get his last name wrong. Feel really bad. Yeah, like fantastic match.
Yeah.
But people in the comments were moaning about it, and I'm like, what's wrong with you?
It was. It could have not been a great match. There's always that risk.
Yeah.
But Weidman brought it big time. He did not want to lose that.
No. I think it was great to watch to see that again. It wasn't a one-sided match. Again, it was nice to see that it wasn't again a complete stalemate.
No.
Which, again, no offense to your show, I have been to some of those situations before.
Some absolute stinkers.
And I'm just like, okay. And then it's even more awkward seeing the other competitor try and hype up the crowd at the last minute. I'm like, this guy's been on your back for the whole thing and you've been defending and nothing's happened. This is just very, very fucking boring right now.
It kills me.
It becomes a bit more of a snooker hall where it's like, oh, he's grabbed the left wrist. And I'm like, oh God. Especially if you bring your partner or something like that and they're like, what's going on? I'm like...
No, they kill... Trust me, those matches kill me more than anyone in the audience. I'm just like, oh, please.
Okay. Swallow me up, I'm not here.
The Homer Simpson where he just walks backwards into the bush comes to me.
That's the one.
So that's an interesting one, Matt. So, out of all the matches that you guys, arrange, what's the one match that you've done that didn't go the way you thought it would?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
You don't have to name names, but is there any big upset where you were like, oh my God, I can't believe it? I'm going to be a bit biased. I couldn't believe that Pedro lost to Santry. I'm obviously a big Pedro fan, but I know Santry's very, very, very good. Because I think we looked and I think Santry owns either the second or third biggest school in Spain where he is.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's insane that the Ilias... Because I used to chat to Luke Barnett quite a lot, who's based over there now, and I was blown away by how big the school is. It's vast.
It's very nice.
It's huge, and everything in there is pristine and all high tech as it could be. But that was one match I was like, oh man, I'm really surprised.
Yeah. Santeri that good though.
Yeah, he is.
He is one of the best in Europe at that weight for sure.
Yeah, but what was the match that you had that you were kind of like, oh man, that's not the result I thought it was going to go?
Not off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I mean, the last Polaris I wasn't actually there. I watched it online, and it's the first time ever.
Scandal. Scandal.
Quick, everyone, bring your pitchforks.
But it was interesting to watch it purely as an observer.
I'm guessing from that point then that actually you watching it and seeing the whole thing would have been. Did you still pick up little details which you weren't quite happy? Yeah. Probably even more than what you probably realised or something like that.
Yeah, I mean it was good. I think everyone always does a good job and everyone works really hard, but just not being involved at all in the kind of the day before setup and the event itself was like a fresh perspective. But I thought Hunter versus Owen would have been more exciting, but then in hindsight, actually it doesn't surprise me at all. But I would have liked to have seen more from both of them. Like Owen's guard's so dangerous that Hunter would go in and out, and then I think Hunter just likes to scrap, so he would have liked someone to at least attempt to stand up with him. So it was a shame because they both can be really exciting and really showcase amazing jiu-jitsu and grappling, but neither of them quite got to do that.
Styles make matches.
Yeah, it was a really good match. Yeah, it's like my first live Polaris was squads, and
Which one?
One in Southampton, the UK versus US.
Yeah.
And I was sat there and I was like, oh man, this is great. I can't wait. And like I walked into Southampton Hall. I drove down there on my little 125 bike, which took me a very long time to get there, but it was so worth it. And man, like I've got to appreciate the production value behind it. People don't know, mate. I was watching these camera guys with like the biggest rigs I have seen shouldered. And like they had their dedicated cable guy holding the cables behind them, rolling them out of the way for people, getting out of the way and stuff. That was just
it's a full-on. It's a TV broadcast.
Yeah. It is. It's crazy. Like and people don't see that. But like you said, like from because I've watched it live, like as in at home and stuff. But going to see it, you really appreciate like
I'm glad you
everything
said that.
going on. It's insane.
We want the live experience to be really special, so that people actually make the effort to come down and watch.
I need to get to an ICS Wales one. That'll be my next one.
That was the last one I went to with Benson Henderson and Damien Meyer, and then they had
a great one.
And then they had the USA for Brazil.
Jealous.
That was that was probably the most extravagant show we've ever done. It was ridiculous.
Fantastic. Like the team stuff was just incredible in terms of like the enthusiasm, and it was nice to see the teams as well kind of get involved with the entertainment aspects of it, where like I don't know, someone would fake walk up to the mat and then someone would jump in afterwards or something like that.
The teams is the best thing, and it was inspired by Quintet. Ben and I went to watch the first Quintet in Tokyo, and we were sat mat side. And honestly, we just looked at each other. We were like, "This is fucking unreal! Like this is the best thing ever." You know, but we didn't want to copy it. We spent ages discussing different ways to do team events. Like we're still not there. We'll probably tweak the rules a little bit more. But we spent so long talking about it and talking about how people make little tribes and teams and how that affects people's behavior.
Yep.
You know, I was researching it a little bit. I mean, you could put 10 people in a room and even just say, right, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, and suddenly they're the A's and they're the B's.
Fuck the B's.
Yeah.
That's all it will be type thing. Like I said, it was a really good environment for it and stuff. Was there a weight limit for the teams out of interest?
So he's four people under 75, 4 people under 95.
Okay, that's fine. And so where they kind of like, then
they can be anything.
They can be anything type thing. That's interesting. Again, another environment which people aren't aware of, I've worked with, is tug of wars. Right?
Tug of war.
They have to weigh in as a team.
Yeah, okay.
And so they'll have like a team limit. So they'll have like, I think
Quintet is that, 430 kilos, 4 people.
I think they had like 610, 630, 640 type of thing. And they got day before weigh-ins as well. And so honestly, they have these massive set of scales, probably the size of this like mat. And they're all like
the whole team on it?
Yeah, the whole team at the same time to sit on type of thing. And then, obviously it's very big in the Netherlands as well. So I think like one of the world champions there. But then locally where we're in Bristol, we've also got a world champion team there type of thing. But they're literally all farmers. It's incredible to see their setup is very simplistic, does the job, but it's, I don't know, probably like finding a garage mat somewhere and just rolling there and becoming a world champion out of it type of thing. But
yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of weird sports that are big enough to say they have world champions.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why when loads of people, very cynical, people saying, grappling will never be big, it'll never be. It's like, no, it will, because there's some of the dumbest sports you've ever seen are on like ESPN, Eurosport.
What did they confirm this week? It was was it slam dunk ball or something? It was like going
Doesn't
back on
surprise me at
like
all.
it was like, and you got trampoline on the basketball court, like
and they're televised, they've got commentators, they've got fans. It's like there's no way on earth you cannot sell 2 people grappling in front of an audience to the world. Like we're just not quite there yet. There's a few things in the industry and in the sport that still need to change, but it'll definitely. It's not getting any smaller.
No, definitely. I think even if you refer back to like NASCAR, for example, right, one loop, people will sit there for a whole day and watch the cars move round, and I appreciate there's some tactics behind it in terms of where your teammates positioned and stuff like that. Like there's some I'm known as kind of with my friend groups like highlight reel. I like watching highlights of stuff. I can't sit and watch a whole Formula One, for example. Show me the crashes, show me the overtakes. I'm all good in that type of stuff. But
they all used to watch F1 in the office, in the Scramble office, and I was like, is this the bit where they go around the corner? Yeah. They're just driving and they're going around the corner.
Yeah. So I like my cars. I'm a bit of a petrol head myself, type of thing, which is fine. And I made not a mistake. I did enjoyment of going to Isle of Man last year, not to watch the TT. It was like another it's like slightly smaller CC version of it. And sat there for 3 hours to watch. And then you see all the bikes go past, and it's like, cool, we've got another like 20 minutes before they come back around again and do exactly. And you couldn't move on the island either. That was the other awkward thing. They close it down, so you can't go anywhere. But you're very much right. The sport is evolving. It is growing. Obviously, it's great. Obviously, we've got some great people sort of backing it and so on, which is good. I would like to see your stance on this. Apologies if this is awkward about this. With the bottle, obviously, as well. The testing at the moment, because we've got an argument to say that IBJJF obviously are testing obviously certain people at the moment. You've got good old ADCC who are just like, do whatever the fuck you want type thing.
They deliver the steroids with the contract.
Yeah, probably. Right? If you unfold the back of the paper like, that's fine, with a little present in the bottom of the box. What's your sort of thoughts on it in terms of, I appreciate obviously Polaris, I don't know if you guys test at all or if you did or ever considered it or...
No, because we never really saw ourselves. Well, I guess we did. We had hopes that we would be a big event, but suddenly it's like, fuck! Like this is one of the biggest events in the world. Yeah. We probably do have a responsibility to do this stuff. I don't like the use of steroids. I think that people that are at the top of the sport now that are taking steroids, they're desperately trying to normalize it and. It's like taking vitamins. It's just an advantage that I need. Everyone else is doing it. I'm against it myself. Okay. So we have an unofficial policy. We keep thinking about announcing it, but we don't really. We will not have anyone on the show that's serving any kind of ban with another organisation like WADA, USADA.
Yeah.
We're like honouring those bans.
Sure.
So that like right now it's Wagner and Cyborg, those guys.
Is it Mickey as well?
Yeah,
Mika Galval.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's some controversy with that because he started his band pre.
Well, hilariously, he said I had low testosterone, but and then it turns out that like the Rotolas have really low testosterone, and basically if you're training 7 days a week, you probably have low test.
Yeah. So they in IBJJF they backdate your ban.
It's the testing date. Yeah,
your testing date was done.
The thing is, it's just really expensive, and
it's about £1,000 a test. I think from what I remember reading somewhere, or $1,000 roughly.
But we would also lose loads of athletes immediately. So Polaris is we run it like a business, so it has to have because talking plainly, most of the other organisations have billionaire backers that are just writing infinite checks, and we don't. So for us to do something like that, we would lose a bunch of athletes, and a lot of the athletes with the biggest appeal are probably on steroids. So there would be like a dip where we'd have to replace it. I mean, it feels like the right thing to do, but I just got no idea how to go about it.
It's a really tricky thing because there's other things that you can try and put into place in terms of this. Not even. Probably one thing they do for boxing and weight cuts, for example, they do a weight cut, check. And so and they thought, oh great, well if they're not doing too much before then, that's fine, it will help them. And what it basically transpired was 2 weight cuts in the space of like 6 weeks.
Right.
And so they were then dropping weight to make the appropriate percentage, and then going, all right, well, I'll go back a little bit now, and then I'll go and do even more again type thing. And it's the same thing with the testing procedures. It's frustrating to see that where you've got such big federations with the financial backing behind them, that none of them, IBJJF to some degree are taking a little bit of a stance on it, but even then it's still very vague. It's still not as clean as in like, right, you've now tested positive, you're now banned for 2 years.
And then they just go, okay, I'll just go and do a load of pro shows. It's fine.
Elsewhere. And then this is the other argument I said to some other people, was that in terms of marketing yourself and making yourself into a business, there's obviously a lot of these athletes have to do nowadays, obviously with the lack of financial support within the industry, where you're going to get more eyes on you. And this is something we brought up with other podcasters before, and in terms of like, you go and do an IBJJF event, unless it's the Worlds and you win or you get the highlight reel, right? You don't get much clout at all in the slightest bit. Go and win a sub-only, like a Polaris show, you guys are going to give them more media coverage, more eyes on them.
Yeah.
Even if they lost, for example, they're still going to have that going.
We have the best media in the game. Shout out Mikey and the Grapple Club. And it sometimes it feels like it's backwards because they're paying the IBJJF, they're flying themselves over, they're losing in the first round, and then they come to us and we offer them a match and we're like, yeah, we'll give you X amount of money. They're like, no, I need more. Oh yeah, that's funny because last week you literally paid like Carlos Gracie Jr. the honour of losing, and now
it's funny because I only found out recently because of Jed's injury that
which was awesome.
Polaris will help you get the care you need if you get injured. And I know UFC have recently started the like UFC healthcare, where if you get injured in a match, they do help you go towards like doctors and stuff. They've only just put it out. I don't know how loose the terms are, but I think it's if you're like on the main card, you then get looked after. Polaris is bottom up.
It's a tricky one with the UFC guys, I was going to say, because if you get choked out, for example, it's an instant 6-month suspension from fighting.
Yeah.
So some of the guys will say, "Oh, I tapped because I didn't want to." I think Kamaru Usman was known for tapping because he was like, "Oh, I wouldn't have tapped. I would have gone out to sleep, but I don't want the 6-month suspension. I can't afford it." But it's a bit tricky. Sorry.
So it's probably easier over here than it is elsewhere, but it's still like that's great. Yeah. To know that you look after athletes, regardless of where they come from, is fantastic.
Well, it's not. That's the first time we've ever done that because we live in a country with free healthcare. That's also another reason why UFC might have to up their game a bit because if somebody breaks their leg in the UFC, then they're fucked for the rest of their life unless they have insurance. But that was like Jed's one of the athletes that we've signed that we give a little bit of extra attention to because he put all his eggs in our basket, so we want to look after him. And he also wanted to get a scan quicker than the NHS could give it to him. So, he just said, "Can you guys help out?" And we said yes. But we pay everyone on the card from top to bottom, which I thought was a no-brainer. But I hear most of the other shows don't pay or pay or they just don't pay, which blows my mind, really.
Yeah.
We try and do everything.
Did you do that from the first show onwards, pay everyone?
Yeah, that's literally the point of a professional event as opposed to an amateur event. If it's an amateur event, you're paying to play. And if it's a professional event, you're being invited and you're being paid. Okay. Otherwise, you can't have the word professional in there.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Just again, interesting seeing obviously your sort of stance on that and everything. And like I said, obviously I know there's lots of shows out there at the moment, obviously looking to go up, obviously through the ranks and obviously involve themselves and stuff like this. So which is good. And I know obviously some of them are up in their game, obviously to do that. But at the same time, likewise, it's obviously good to see that you're taking into consideration the athletes, obviously their health and stuff and their well-being, and even from the pre-fight stage of sort of the weight cuts, they've been saying, right, okay, fine, we're going to try and match you guys out of the way. How's that been in terms of like having that conversation, saying, guys, I know you touched on it and saying like, oh, they're coming from 80 to 72. Have it always been the case of, oh no, we'll just drop weight, or has anyone actually sort of had that light bulb moment going, oh yeah, he's actually speaking sensitive?
Yeah, sometimes there's a catch weight agreement. Sometimes people are not honest with us about how much weight they have to cut. Yeah.
Can you send me a profile picture quickly? Yeah, nah, you ain't 70, you're more like 90 type thing.
It's a bit all over the place still, but we'll say this is the agreed weight. Can you make that comfortably? They say, yeah, it's fine, no problem. And that's why if someone says, oh, it might be a bit tricky, sometimes we won't even make the match. If it seems like, we had this good idea, but actually you're too big, we'll just can it early.
Speaking of which, was there any matches that you didn't get to put out because there's too much of a weight difference? You're like, oh, I wish that happened still? Or?
We've had loads of women's matches that don't work out.
Okay.
And obviously we don't announce it because it doesn't work out, and then people go, oh, haven't you got any women on? Well, we had like 5 really good matches and they all fell through that we never announced. But
obviously ADCT announced the new weight category for women, and obviously it was interesting because it started off with like, yay, this is amazing, and then the narrative kind of flipped. And it said, again, speaking to another nutritionist, Lindsay, obviously shout out to her, the female fight nutritionist, her argument was that why is the stigma that women have to be lighter? And I was like, okay, I see your point completely. And it's then I feel from my perspective that when competitors see that they have to go up a weight bracket and there's a massive disparity in their weight, that it's going to then turn people off in terms of entering the event in the first place, especially as you get through the heavier ranks and obviously you've got bigger jumps. Like I fall on the cusp of being super heavy. I don't want to touch ultra heavy because I don't want to come up against a 140 kilogram rugby league unit type thing, or against something else like that. And I'd hate to think, obviously, again, the women who are, I don't know, we spoke to Ashley Bender, who I think obviously floated around at 57. So obviously when the news came out, messages like, go and smash your mate, really looking forward to obviously seeing you compete there. But she's used to fighting 65 this whole time. And so I'm like, we've got to celebrate that, obviously, that miniature win, and then hopefully let it progress. And I think obviously we concluded that they just need more weight categories in there.
Yeah, I mean, they put in a lower weight category, which is awesome, because there was definitely a lot of girls that were struggling at the higher weight. So it used to be 60 or 65?
I think it was 65.
It was under 60 and now over 60. And there were loads of like 50 kilo girls that were struggling at the under 60. But yeah, they should have put in an upper limit, because I think people were more upset just seeing Gabby Garcia Hulk smash everyone. That was the thing that was like, when you're watching, this is a professional sport, and she's just going, like,
Other than Craig Jones is rubbing his hand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Well, Jacob Couch, we're still rooting for you, mate.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. If they had sat down and said, hey, we're discussing women's weights right now, they should have taken that moment to also go, let's put a cap on the upper end. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So just to clarify, the weight limits now are plus 65, under 65, and under 55.
I thought it was 65.
No, there's definitely 3 categories.
That's 3 that they've got here. Yeah. So it's minus 55 is the new one. Then it's minus 65, minus 60, plus 65. Sorry. Yeah. So Gabby would be in plus 65, plus 100.
Yeah.
I think. I don't even know what Gabby Garcia's weight was when she was competing. I think it was pretty high. Like, I think over. I mean, I'm 82.
It was creeping up to 100.
I'm 85. I'm pretty sure she's like 90, 98,
Again,
99.
Not to put the stigma, obviously there's no testing obviously within it as well. So you've got anyone's limits is depending on how much they're going to put.
There's only one person who knows if she's on steroids, and that's Craig Jones. They're very close, I hear.
Yeah, very close. So yeah, it's good to hear obviously that news type of thing, and I think again, obviously I know you guys want to try and obviously put more females on the show. Obviously the last one, obviously where you had pretty much every single major female on there, which was
amazing. It was a really good event. Yeah, I mean it's a touchy subject. People have very strong opinions about it, and then about these kinds of issues. I feel like we do our best to. Well, what did I say when I originally... Basically, we would like to contribute to growing women in the sport at a sustainable rate that doesn't potentially, because it's not the easiest kind of industry in the world to make money in, pro jiu-jitsu events.
Yeah.
So I've said that before, and then people go, oh, what? So if you put women on, instantly the event's going to fail. It's like, no. But look, it's just a numbers game.
Yeah. This is the tricky thing in the sense that you don't want it's a two-way relationship, right? You could get on, I don't know, the guy from Siberia who is 100 type thing and is absolute monster of a person, right? If no one knows who they are,
exactly,
why on earth are they going to turn? Unless you got you'd have to have your dance partner like Craig Jones or someone else who's going to make it and potentially even promote the other person without them knowing. I think it's the same thing you see with a lot of fights. Sometimes you have a guy who is happy to promote the show, understands the game, and the other person is just stoic the whole time, right? I was like, Jesus told me to do this or something like this, and you're just like, okay, and you can just see even in the media like build
it's
up.
all about personalities.
Yeah.
It is, and it's entertainment, and women for the most part are incredibly entertaining, amazing jiu-jitsu. Definitely don't dispute that. I train with loads of women, respect their dedication, enthusiasm, skill, ability. But we have to cater to the biggest audience possible. I mean, even saying stuff like that is sometimes controversial. Even the merest hint that the audience might swing one way or the other, people get upset about. I got tons of like nasty messages. So I had to say, hang on a minute. And there's loads of things that go on behind the scenes that people never see. Matches made, like headline matches with big female names that fall through no fault of our own, that we'd never even get. Well, sometimes they do get announced. I feel confident in saying that we are doing our best to contribute. Yes, we did the Women's Grand Prix, which was amazing. The last show had loads of good female matches on.
Anyway, with Benyon and stuff, obviously we have the joys, obviously, of going to meet Lindsay. Will be down there at the Female Fight Nutritionist. So looking forward, obviously, to watching the show down there, which will be really good. Again, obviously, it's good to obviously just be uplifting the sport in many ways and getting more people involved with it, which is obviously what we want at the end of the day. I have a couple of questions after doing a little bit of stalking through your Instagram. I hope you didn't mind. So, first of all, did you ever get the Mustang that you put a picture up, I think, many years ago? And I was like, did he actually get the chance to get a Mustang at any point? So I think he had like
Mustang.
It was like a silver Mustang. I think it was like dream car or something like this. And I was like, oh.
Maybe that was when me and Ben, I think we rented one in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I put a fake. I put one out. I stood in front of a Ferrari.
Yes.
And I was like,
we were waiting to see the Ferrari up front. I was like, where's it?
I wrote something like, "Thanks, Bitcoin."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
it. And then I got loads. Oh, you deserve it, bro. I was like, as if I'm gonna buy a fucking Ferrari.
You should have put like a little link on there to come and join my Hustlers University.
But I started to think like that's how easy it is to pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah. It's mental.
No, we did. We've rented Mustangs a couple of times on business trips to America, and I got a speeding ticket in one, and that was very scary. Yeah, because the American police were particularly trigger happy at that time. And this car was following me, and it was like we were driving from Vegas to LA. Yep. And it was like an empty highway, one or two cars, and I was. It's America, so it's the other way around. So the fast lane is not on the right now; it's on the left. So I was sort of changing lanes. Oh, I need to overtake this guy. Oh shit, I've gone. Basically, I undertook, and then boop 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 behind us. I was like, oh shit, and he.
Oh, well, go drop the speed.
Yeah, it was a classic like fat guy with his thumbs hooked in his belt. But then he noticed that you're foreign.
Yeah, oh god.
He just gave us a warning.
Please,
yeah, it was exactly like that. I was like, yes, officer.
You ever seen a gun before?
Yeah.
I want to see the amount of videos coming out of that type of stuff at the moment. It's horrific. I think I saw one yesterday of a guy, he was a black soldier, and he's there like, what have I done wrong? And they're like, get out of the car. And they're like, what have I done wrong? And it's like, hands are out. It's like, guys CS gassed him and all this type of stuff.
Must be an absolute nightmare. I can't imagine it. They're so trigger happy. Well, I mean, it gets shared a lot on social media. However, there are statistics that say there's like 3 million police and public interactions a year, and obviously the ones that go wrong are tragic. But
then again, the viral stuff that you see like in London is like, oh yeah, you can only get stabbed. And it's like, well, it's not as clean cut as that, if I'm honest, right? It depends, like I said, on the situation itself, where the environment you're in, that type of thing, right? Obviously, my own sister works for Ralph Lauren, that type of thing, and like goes on the transport every day, and she says that you can put yourself in situations that would lead you to getting stabbed, right, quite easily. And so you just got to have your wits about you to some degree. And
the fear-mongering is just ridiculous.
Yeah. So
you say that, but Matt, didn't you post in your story the other day of asking for directions in London? The guy just slices this dummy to pieces. It's amazing. It's so good.
To be honest, every time we told anyone, where's the next Polaris? Croydon.
Sorry, Croydon.
Oh God, it's not going to be a Hammersmith Apollo or anything else.
I mean, yeah. Maybe I don't know if I should say that. Yeah, it was. We were considering. We thought London would be really hungry to have Polaris back, but we thought we would be like busting at the seams in terms of tickets. We still did well, but it didn't. It wasn't as busy as we thought it would be.
Yeah,
like Doncaster was unreal.
Yeah,
completely full, sold out. Tickets sold real quick. Yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest things the jiu-jitsu community or any other sort of sporting community can struggle with sometimes, is that when you're putting on a show, there's an element of like entertainment. I appreciate you're not walking around like Vince McMahon type thing and like here comes the money type stuff.
We're fairly low key.
Yeah, and so I think that's where people sometimes will lose out on that understanding. If you had a load of people who are just completely silent, stoic, didn't say a word, and like I said, obviously I'm here because of Jesus type of thing, then all of a sudden it's not going to sell as many tickets.
No.
And that's the thing that people don't realise, that there is a business behind this still. There is an entertainment factor. All of us want to have great matches, right? And even you guys in a position where you want to put the best matches on, you could still end up with a stalemate. Yeah. And that's like, I hate to say this, obviously Damien Minor, Benson Henderson, unfortunately the match was a little bit stalemate-ish.
Yeah, and also we allowed, like, Damien requested 20 minutes and we were like, yes, whatever you say, sir, because it was Damien Maia. But then in hindsight, like, no, why? No.
Because like even towards the end of the match, Benson obviously was jumping around, trying to get the crowd going, all this type of stuff. I felt sorry for him. There was an awkward moment where he was like, everyone who likes jiu-jitsu say, yeah, everyone, yeah. It's like, wrestling.
Don't forget we're in Wales.
So no, it makes
there's literally a handful of people that you can depend on to deliver excitement in every match.
Yeah, which is good. And like I said, it's the entertainment factor when it comes to it. I know obviously there's been some other questions that we've had come in, Tom, haven't we? Is that right?
Sorry, I was fucking scrolling through the questions to look through them. Yeah, we got a couple of questions. There's a few here and there. So, what am I going to go for? Cool. So, first one is, what was the best Polaris match and why was it Taquinho versus Tonin?
Yeah, I was going to say that. I always say that. I was trying to think of another one. Yeah, Gary Tonin versus Taquinho was iconic for sure. And I think it's sitting at like 2.5 million views or something on YouTube.
Well deserved, obviously. Yeah.
And it was a fantastic match, mind.
It was the build up to it as well was good. I was nervous about it because Taquinho at the time was like a notoriously dangerous grappler. I don't know if you remember, like even from the beginning, we did really good preview shows, like prologues. Gary Tonin did some really funny stuff. I need to go back and watch them actually, because I'm sure there's tons of stuff that people now haven't seen. We've done stuff with Gary, we've done Eddie Cummings, we've done Dylan Dennis, we followed him around New York. Like,
is he coming back, Dylan Dennis?
We did speak to him a fair bit on the last one, but I don't know.
It's quite funny because we're in a different world at the same time, right? Or different area of the country. Obviously, we were doing our first podcast with Shane, and we said about how what matchup would you like, or something like this, and it was something like I loved what was the match? It was something like, what was the question?
Sorry, I don't know what the fuck I was going on there. So you asked Shane who you'd rather go in a match with, Craig Jones or Dylan Dennis.
That was it.
He immediately went, Dylan Dennis, 100%.
Dylan Dennis, I'd absolutely enjoy it. Yeah. And then the following day, obviously, you guys piped up about Dylan Dennis type thing. Yeah. We're like, oh God, and like Shane was like, yeah, put me on it, and we were like, yeah.
The amount of comments on there saying Shane Curtis,
get him in there straight away.
Yeah, Dylan was very particular about what kind of person he would compete against.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. It's with the people we're surrounded with. There's always caveats with different stuff, and the sense that
it's so difficult.
Must be this person at this weight at this time, and probably
they have to be really famous and shit at jiu-jitsu.
Jake Paul.
Oh man, the amount of viewers that
actually,
will bring in.
That's a good. But do you think there's going to be a bit more celebrity jiu-jitsu stuff coming up in the future, with the fact that a lot of them are jumping into boxing? And I appreciate, obviously, with the jiu-jitsu that it takes some time to learn the sort of techniques and stuff. But with, again, Elon and Zuckerberg coming about, when's jiu-jitsu time going to come up with this, or do you think it's going to be no? This is just too wacky. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah, it could do. I don't know if Polaris would be the one to do it. I would like to, but those boxing ones are fueled by money, entirely by money. So you'd need millions of dollars on the table, I think.
Yeah.
So
until obviously someone from that backing is going to be in there, it's not necessarily going to happen.
I mean, Mo could probably put some crazy celebrity grappling on. I don't know, speak to Tom Hardy every now and then, know people that know Russell Brand. That could be a good match. Yeah.
I don't know.
Russell's purple belt now. Is he purple? Yeah, he's still purple. And Tom's just got his...
Tom's probably a sandbagging purple belt.
Yeah.
Probably annihilate Russell Brand.
Because I saw Tom's last comp that he did, where he faked the level change and double legged the guy, and I was like, oh man, that was so good.
He takes it super seriously. I think.
I bet he
genuinely
does.
Really good.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. There's definitely a few different people.
Hit up Ricky Bell, see what he's saying, because he seems to know him quite well, doesn't he, Ricky Bell?
Yeah. I mean, obviously we've got Big Nasty on the scene as well.
I have seen that. Like, to be fair, like, I don't see it. It's like Jane Smith was saying about what's he called? What was the name of the guy that was doing a load of stuff? Joe Wicks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your face says it all. Like, I was like, this is full of shit, and I looked at the guy debunking him, and basically just like, it's all German volumetric training and stuff.
I've got no problem with Joe Wicks. The problem is that there's an element of trend around this, right?
Yeah.
There's I don't know if they've been taken down. There's videos of him saying calories don't count. It's a load of fucking bullshit science. I'm like, okay, cool. That's just like saying the sun doesn't produce light for whatever reason, and just that's a frustration. And then obviously you did a complete U-turn, and obviously and it's all based on his overall brand and image and trying to make things.
Well, this is the thing. The video was saying is Joe Wicks actually isn't a person. He is a brand. His name is something completely different. That's what the guy reckons. And all of his like stuff. Anyway, that's going off tangent. But point I was getting at with Joe Wicks is even though his stuff is full of shit, he was getting a lot of people to get off the sofa. And so the argument is...
we did it in lockdown, me and my family.
Yeah, so the idea behind it is that, don't get me wrong, he is a grafter, he's putting in a lot of hard work. There's images of him obviously literally being on the tube station, like hey guys, I've got a free thing going at the park type thing, trying to do that. And so I give him credit where it's due, and a lot of the people obviously at that stage have been doing it 10 plus years behind that. It's like, again, Scramble. Yeah, like I said, again, I'm sure you went up to countless obviously shows to obviously try and sell the merch and obviously do what you can. I imagine you could have done more, you could have done less, whatever your sort of preferences obviously with that type of thing. But
I mean, there is a slightly interesting story about that I only ever made one cold call with Scramble.
Really?
Yeah, to Made for Fighters, and asked them to stock Scramble, and then since then everyone just comes to us.
They based in Bristol originally back in the day.
I think it's Milton Keynes. Oh, were they? Maybe. So, yeah, then they sold.
I think they sold. So they were in Milton Keynes, and now they are based in Kingswood, down the road from us.
So why do I feel like
There's a warehouse down there.
Alfie is who was originally behind Made for Fighters, is what? So you know Chosen Few now?
Yeah.
Alfie, I'm pretty sure, was involved either with Made for Fighters or was there an adjacent company to them, like a competitor or something like that? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Oh God, I'm pretty sure there's some little link with this. I'll message Alfie later about this, because Alfie's got his own sort of bodybuilding brand now called Chosen Few, doing fantastically well. But he was involved within the MMA community in terms of stocking everything like this, and then sold up basically, and then went into something that was a little bit more.
Could be.
I'm pretty sure it is. I never know his links.
How has that come off tangent of the best fight? I don't know. We've gone way far off that question.
Sorry.
No, stop, mate. It's all fine. any content's content, you know.
Yeah.
That was the best match though, for sure.
It was.
Yeah, we've had loads of really, really good ones, but that was good.
I was really looking forward to seeing Dan Strauss and Gio Martinez go, and Boogie as well. I really wanted to see him open up and go for it. But I really enjoyed Dan Strauss and John Blank. That was a great match when they were in squads. So good.
Yeah. Strauss and Boogie, nothing much happened, did it?
No, not really. I think they were just really trying to feel each other out. I didn't realise how big Boogie was. Like, when he came onto the mat, I was like, holy shit, he's massive.
He took it really seriously, though, because we told him it was a 95 kilo limit, and he was like, awesome, eat and lift for the next 2 months.
Love that. Taking it right on board.
He is literally a mountain of a human being. He is absolutely astonishingly huge. Like, you know when you get like everything in America's bigger? Yeah, like he is bigger. Anyway, moving on. Another question. Is it true that you are head of the secretive BJJ Illuminati?
You know, it wouldn't surprise me.
Can neither confirm nor deny.
However, he does have part lizard skin. We have seen in Seacroft.
Yeah, we have seen him change out of his lizard skin every now and then. We needed to pause the podcast a minute ago so he could shed. Yeah, that's where the ringworm's from.
That was it, ringworm.
Carl, we've got like a double question here, but it's how you came to start Scramble and also your photography stuff.
So the story of Scramble is fairly well documented in various places, but I was inspired by the brands that existed in Japan already that were like way ahead of the rest of the world in terms of cool, kind of subtle designs.
Yep.
And started off importing it, but it was very expensive and impractical. And one of the guys that I was talking to in Japan just why don't you just do your own stuff that looks a bit like this stuff? I was like, oh, okay. That was it. And then what was the other part?
The other one was just about your photography stuff. I know me and you spoke about it briefly, but yeah.
Very much hobbyist, colorblind hobbyist. So I buy a nice camera that has good in-camera color settings and then just shoot. Yeah.
Sorry to admit, is this where you think you're a black belt still because of the colourblind situation?
Yeah, I'm actually purple. Well, actually, I struggle rolling with people. I can't tell if they're blue or purple. So, not that it matters, but sometimes, if I'm particularly like gassed out at the end, I'll be like, are you a blue belt or a purple belt? Blue belt, oh fuck.
See, I've done that before. Obviously, I probably prefer a little bit more no-gi than the gi, however much I get hate for it.
No-gi is just jumping straight in the deep end, isn't it? You got no idea.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I said it to people before, I'm like, are you a blue belt? And they're going like, I'm a brown. I'm like, start high, work your way down. It works the compliment type thing.
Never ask them, with a belt, with a colour. Just say, what belt are you?
Yeah. So that was a funny one. I got an actual extra question with this, and I think it came from my digging. Polaris wasn't the original name, was it?
No, it was Paragon.
Yeah. Why the switch?
Because Jeff Glover sent us a shitty email.
Okay, that's fine.
So we're still listed as Paragon in like official documentation, but I'd already designed the P logo.
Yeah, I know. I seen it, and I was like, that's not the it wasn't. Like I said, it was literally within. I don't know how often you were posting, obviously with that stuff, but it was basically one post Paragon, and then suddenly Polaris, and I was like,
we had to think. We already had the logo ready to go, so. It's like we need another name beginning with P.
See, we tried it again. We've got some aspirations, and we would like to chat to you about this obviously afterwards about doing our own show and that type of stuff, and trying to listen to feedback of things that you've said about what you think is going to do well. So we've kind of gone with teams and stuff like this, and trying to obviously utilise that. And again, it's trying to.
Good luck.
I'll prove you wrong. Yeah.
Well, he says that, but we've asked a couple of people, and they say it's a very fruitless task. And it's a lot more work to put into it. So
I think it's less financial drive and more.
That's good.
Like I want to supply something to what people are requesting.
It's the same as podcast. It started off as a labour of love, and now it's just fucking great fun.
Yeah,
so we just continue doing it.
I think with the podcast, it's a little bit more. Don't get me wrong. I said that twice now. This is not obviously.
I'm catching you. Keep going.
I think the thing is with that is that because there is a need for people to be helped within this, right? I'm there thinking, right, okay, let's give a good quality service, set the standard high, and then so at least then it's then understood that there's.
Well, you made a mistake with doing a podcast with me then, didn't you? Because I'm bringing the standard down every single time I open my mouth.
It's fine. It's fine. I appreciate obviously people don't. Boy, this is the thing. As I said to people with the podcast in the first place, I struggle listening to deep nutrition seminars, right, for 20 minutes, let alone a long hour or 2 hours type thing. So we always wanted to dip in with this and that type of stuff.
I don't listen to any jiu-jitsu podcasts.
No?
No. Apart from Craig Jones now, because he's funny.
You're not going to listen to this afterwards? Or?
Yeah. It's jiu-jitsu all day long. This is all jiu-jitsu. Polaris is all jiu-jitsu. I go to the gym twice a week. I don't need like the other waking hours to be full of jiu-jitsu.
Don't listen to him. He's lying. He loves our podcast. He asked us to come on.
Hey man, you started a cult brand. What are you talking about? Everyone loves Scramble and Polaris. And you don't know Unathletic.
No, I have to leave it when I go home. I can't be listening.
That's why I got my cars, if I'm honest. I've got friends who are into motorbikes and petrol head stuff, and so like we got them. But still, even then, jiu-jitsu still slides in. We're going to the Lake District, and I know they got Lake District BJJ, which I'm like, I'll have to take a visit up there quickly. But
no, I'm not kidding. I don't listen to jiu-jitsu podcasts, but I do love jiu-jitsu on the whole as a kind of community. In fact, like I much prefer the grassroots level of jiu-jitsu and the people that you see at the gym, and to the kind of high-level professional circles, because it's kind of weird up there.
Yeah, you can say the wrong thing and not mean any context type of thing, and it'd be taken way out of context for that type of stuff. I imagine probably at a high level.
Just weird personalities. And
I found that out quite recently when I joined up to the UK BJJ Underground Facebook page. There's a lot of weird shit going on in there. There's a lot of in jokes that I know from talking to people in person. I'm like, oh no, like
what's going on there?
Yeah.
I'll tell you that off.
It's a funny place.
It's deep waters, isn't it? Off the back of that question, because the next one is how you came to start Scramble, which we now know, is why did you pick Scramble over Umi? Because I know that was another name you're going to use.
That's well researched.
Well, what do I say to him?
I'm making Nardog run for his money.
This is what I wanted to be inspired by. Do you know who Nardwar is? Or
who?
Nardwar? Is that what I'm saying?
Nardwar, yeah.
Nardwar. So
Why does that name ring a bell?
He goes around and interviews like really high profile like rappers and stuff, and he even went to the extent of going to Snoop Dogg and finding a film that Snoop Dogg made, cut and produced by himself before he was famous, and giving him a VHS tape, and he was like, I don't even have a copy of this. How did you get a copy of this?
Like, he does this with every single one.
Even Tyler the Creator, he managed to find out his original name before he became Tyler the Creator and stuff like that. It's mental.
He's done loads of different things like that. I think one that I really enjoyed the most was he went up to one rapper and was like, what do you think of Coolo's or something like this? And he was like, I used to go there as a kid with my mum, and that was our favourite restaurant. Like, where the hell did you get that from? Like, you FBI this. Sorry, anyway, back to the question. Why?
I can't remember. I mean, I do remember having them like laid out on my dining room table at my parents' place and just sort of looking at them. I think not knowing if kind of Western people would be all right with that word, like starting with a U, and would it be like you, me, and some confusion there. I can't remember. I think Scramble just rolled off the tongue a bit easier.
Yeah.
It was a great name. It's one of the only things that I've designed that I don't hate after like 6 months. That logo.
Yeah. That's fair.
I slanted. I've changed it. It used to be regular kind of text, but the only change I've made in like 15 years is I've put a slant on it and I rounded the edges by like 0.1% or something.
This may sound like a really boring and cheesy question, but I think to some degree, there's elements of Scramble which I see in Gymshark, right? And they're obviously massive clothing brand in the sense that you've now got physical stores as well and things like this. It was just really cool. Where do you think Scramble goes next? And like, if you don't want me saying as an outsider, part of the game is, have you got bored with Scramble and then started an athletic type of thing? If you don't want me saying.
No, not at all. Scramble's like 99.9% of my day every day, so it's all about Scramble really. But that's two questions. So the first one is we've always, in the back of our mind, imagined Scramble to be like a surf brand.
Okay.
So or a skate brand. So they have a really legitimate background in a sport or activity.
Yeah.
With mainstream appeal. So I suppose that's the long-term plan. That was the long-term plan. I mean, now the industry is almost big enough it can support like mega brands, and you'd not have to leave. So we wouldn't have to go and try and find the mainstream audience, because the jiu-jitsu audience is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The only goal for Scramble is growth, just constant growth, which we've had like every year.
Domination.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. To
Basically,
be the best jiu-jitsu brand.
So excellent.
Yeah.
I look at excellent.
Which I want to touch on before we go to the next one. A lot of people think there's a big issue between you and Tatami, and I know it's a complete opposite.
No.
That's bollocks.
We talk to those guys almost every day.
Yeah. Anyone that thinks like, oh, you have to be team Tatami or Scramble is not the case, because Tatami.
Well, once you cross the border into Wales,
yep.
Yes, they own that territory. there's like one or two brave souls wearing
Is there a brand for Scotland? Or?
Scramble.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got Ireland.
And Ireland as well. There's Scramble BJJ in Jungle BJJ, isn't it? Yeah.
Ireland's doing fantastically well.
I know my stuff, mate.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I know, but it's only, and you've got the shops and stuff, obviously you've got and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
Fight Store Pro got in touch. They got a shop up north somewhere that people can go into.
I know the overheads for stores, obviously, it's just not the greatest type of thing.
So we don't actually have any. We don't have
physical
like Scramble
stores.
stuff.
Am I looking? I thought. Sorry, I'm making an absolute fool of myself.
In Dublin.
Jungle BJJ has stock, like physical stock in the store. Yeah,
but he does really well with.
Yeah, in Japan and stuff, there's not a physical store or anything like that, is there? It's more just
Jungle. Yeah, we have one location, but that's in his gym.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Like I said, I know you definitely had something in Ireland, and that's why I was just like, okay, cool. So you've
that's
got
probably me miscommunicating that to you, but
that's Peter doing a great job in Ireland. No, we love Tatami. We talk to them all the time.
Do you think you'll open up more stores then?
I would like to, but you need, like you said, you need staff. There's loads of overheads. It would be more of a kind of project. You know, it would be like a cafe with a video playing, with a screen playing jiu-jitsu matches, and we're gonna have to move out of here eventually, and I think the next step is combining everything together: warehouse, office space. I would love a storefront, gym, storefront, all that stuff. That'd be nice. Yeah.
Scramble Mega Center coming soon. Yeah, that's amazing.
That'd be lovely.
Awesome.
Yes.
Carry on with your other questions.
I guess it was just seeing, like I said, about it being like Gymshark, and that day again obviously didn't have any physical stores until obviously I think did they start with London, I think it was, or they got some other things like that type of thing, but obviously the brand expanding into that type of thing, which you covered from there.
You were asking about Unathletic.
Yeah, Unathletic. I know obviously you said that off camera, like I said, one-man band, got a bit of nostalgia coming back into the day of starting again like that. Has it come from boredom?
No. More like, Scramble's been going 15 years now. In the beginning, me and Ben, like all the marketing copy was jokes. All the product description was jokes. It's still, if you look at product descriptions on our website now, they're still like bollocks. Who reads them anyway?
I know. It reminds me of like Easter egg stuff.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got down this far.
Yeah.
We're just
I was going to say, sorry, have you got any Easter eggs on the website type of thing where, like, I know you've obviously said in the descriptions and stuff.
Just the product description. Just go and have a look through them. Some of them are serious. Like if we're really busy, we'll just quickly type out, But if we've got a bit of time, we're releasing a bunch of stuff today and it's got loads of dumb descriptions. We used to put out ads in Fighters Only magazine for Scramble, and it would, I'll show you guys later. We did shorts, and it was the Shortinators, and there was the shorts with a T-Rex, with a Velociraptor head coming out, and Terminator legs coming out the bottom, and the quote said, like, "These are the worst shorts I've ever bought." And we were paying money to get this into magazines.
I love it.
So, but that's slightly less now, just because it's a much bigger company. We've got a bunch of employees that depend on the company doing well, so you have to take it fairly seriously. But Unathletic is just the stuff that's too dumb and too on the edge for Scramble, really.
I feel like it's the darker side of your brain, I think, with all that stuff.
Yeah, I just got a bum bag, a steroids bum bag. I'll show you. And
is it going to have like syringe holders and stuff?
I'm gonna order some dummy syringes off Amazon. Do a photo shoot.
Get a little vial or something like that. That'd be hilarious.
Brazilians on their way to compete in small local tournaments.
Oh,
you could do like the evil Danaher, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. I like it a lot.
So you could have you could have them like joggers, obviously, like the whole like trousers type thing, with the loser type thing, and the rash guard, bold wig, and then what's that? Our podcast sponsor, obviously, Grapplers Soap. He did one with Goggins. So you got like a little like cap on it, which is like, who's going to carry those boats?
I will say, Mr. Bassett is the most intuitive person to make his own adverts ever.
Yeah.
They are fantastic. And like Crocker was saying along with him, if you can't have any humility, you're just gonna fuck yourself up. You got to laugh at yourself.
No,
and
he
loves it. It's great.
I like what he puts out, and he's, everybody. It doesn't come natural to Brits, I don't think, being outgoing. Americans just seem to be born with like charisma, but he seems to be kind of almost forcing himself to put his own face out there.
We had a conversation with him. I don't want to say I take complete ownership over it in the slightest bit, but there's little...
Steven Seagal over here.
He can shoot me down, honestly, if he wants to at the same time. But I said to him about when I first started, obviously, doing the original consultancy. I got on the camera just straight away with no expectation, obviously, of doing well. But it was just like, right, this is just what social media is. To some degree, like I said, I'm not trying to berate this. When we post stuff out on social media, people think that, oh, you must love it all the time, right? I hate it because I get sucked into the content very quickly. And like, as everyone, I'll go down a rabbit hole or something, all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm looking at pest control of bees. And I'm like, how have I even got here? And now all of a sudden I know 3 different bee brands based on their clothes and all this type of stuff, right? And
pointless knowledge.
I said to him that there's some degree that people buy from people, and the fact that you've obviously got your soap, which is fantastic, and it's really good, right?
It's good stuff.
And that's not getting, obviously, us just saying we're sponsored by them. It's just fantastic. We've all had fantastic results, and everyone we've spoken to has had fantastic results. But it'll come to a point where it will level off, right? And then you need to obviously get your own character across with it. Now, you can either do that by getting on camera and obviously doing your own thing and obviously being very comical, which is really good. Or again, like I said, obviously you can go to the extremes of obviously developing a quite...
Yeah, no, I think about it a lot because I think you guys mentioned it earlier, like Polaris doesn't really have a figurehead, and we sometimes wonder, but then everything that we do is kind of carefully considered, and we're thinking long term, whereas there's loads of American promotions that have come and gone, but they had a big charismatic frontman.
Yep.
They almost made the show about them, and when we're watching that, and they're getting loads of interaction, we're thinking, these guys are smashing it, like maybe we should do that. And then they're gone 6 months later. So it's like, okay, it was just a load of bravado.
We started in February, I mean, so
yeah.
I've only got a couple of months left, Jesus Christ, what are we going to do?
But then like, same with Scramble, I mean, I like putting myself out a little bit on social media. Ben doesn't really do it very much at all. And I sometimes wonder, like, should we be doing more, or is it not necessary? I mean, Scramble as a company is doing great, like it's growing. So maybe we don't need to put our faces out there too much. I don't know. I do think about it a lot, especially because you're bombarded 24/7 by other people putting their faces out there.
Yeah, it's a trick. I think when you're starting up, you need to be as relevant with the content as possible. Okay. I would argue with other people's social media content, which I see, where there'll be paragraphs, right?
Yeah. And
on an Instagram story, I've got to be really invested in that person to read it, or it's got to be some sort of juicy drama that Gordon's posted or something like this, right? Or something like that. Outside of that, if it's like, I don't know, a product review or something like this, I'm going to swipe off. Because
and a lot of it does fall flat. It's not like if you just point a camera at yourself and talk, you're going to be successful. Loads of it is like...
You've got to be entertaining, to some degree. People go on social media, especially the platforms that we're dealing with, to be entertained, or have something of a very high level not say they need high level intellect, but something that's very, very deep into like the rabbit hole, which is like intriguing and people didn't know. Like, I'll be honest, when I did a post, I think the other week about, I came across a study on sweat levels and tattoos, and the fact that I was like, oh, this is interesting. I've never read this before. Very, very small study. The engagement we got off of it, where people were like, oh my God, yeah, I've got loads of tattoos, I sweat and all this type of stuff and everything like this. And it was like very interesting to see how people responded to that very high level. On the other side, I'm like, we did a reel the other day where people were saying, I can't believe you hate yum-yums over donuts.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
I did see that.
Right, I was like,
That's my fault.
I know, but I even put a story up saying, guys, like, I'm getting so much shit over this. Like, go and put it on the vote on the next story. Oh, look, donuts won. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm not that
do like a
passionate
yum.
about
No,
it,
but I think that's one of my least favorite things about social media, though, is that you're doing this all the time, and like even as an observer, it's like somebody getting the shit kicked out of them and nearly dying, and you're like, oh, bad. And then the next one is something hilarious, and you're like, ha. So you're constantly going like that, and I'm sure it's not good for you. Like,
no, it's probably Andrew Cuban will come on and be like, well, based on the
It hits those
cortisol
serotonin
levels,
levels, doesn't it? It's like happiness, sadness, happiness, and you want more happy, more sad all the time. So
Sorry,
I've got a question for you, Matt. You're gonna I don't know if you remember this. Why did Scramble stop doing the grappling dummies series?
well, that
And we're going back a long time now, but
well,
it was great.
Yeah, it was fun actually.
13 years ago was the first one.
Yeah. Why did I think because it was more interesting for me to document what was going on in Japan than it was what's going on in the UK. You know, like at that time, my life in Japan, I felt like was like super interesting. So I had a natural urge to document it. And then being back in my home country was much less inspiring in terms of content creation.
Makes me laugh because I watched the one with Imanari, and it's just the way he talks. Everything he says,
hilarious.
just hanging on every word. Like,
he's hilarious.
This guy's just like a comedian.
I go back and watch that every now and then. What's your impression of the UK? Buses drive very fast.
Yeah, that's the first thing he says. I'm just like, you're a fucking legend. He's great.
I have an Imanari story. We went to Tokyo to film him for Polaris, and he was having an MMA fight at the time. Two funny things. So first one, we were interviewing him. How's the training going? I told you? Oh, you heard this? How's the training going? He's like, yeah, good. You're doing, what's your sort of ratio, you know, grappling, striking? He's like, yeah. We're like, what? Grappling? Yeah. You training striking? Yeah. 4 times. You're like, 4 times a day? 4 times a week? 4 times. And then he went out and just like windmilled punches for the whole match. But then the other thing was he was making weight, and we were in a sort of like 10th floor on some random apartment building office block in Japan. And he was overweight by a few grams, so he just fucking whipped all his clothes off, whipped his kegs off, stood in front of everyone, butt naked, like no towel, nothing, room full of media, other fighters. He's just like weighed in, casually walked back. Wasn't in a hurry to get dressed. And we were just like,
Imagine if it was like, imagine the building like round down the road or something like this, like walking out the hotel, walking down the street.
Like, oh yeah,
like,
I need to put my pants on. He's just a really cool guy. He's like probably one of the most genuine human beings I've ever met. Like, he doesn't modify his behaviour.
That's cool.
In the slightest.
I like that. I think that's something in which I think I'm trying to do better myself, is trying to work on me being me, if that makes sense. And the idea being that I think we all get sucked into different things. And again, for anyone who knows me, obviously has been new to this sort of page or channel and that type of stuff, I've been in the jiu-jitsu scene all of probably like 5 minutes in comparison to people, right? What, 3.5 years coming up 4, I'd probably say.
So I think you started as a white belt just after the unfortunate incident, or just before the unfortunate incident, sorry. We can't say the C word because we get told off. So, yeah, I think you're 3.5 years?
About 3.5 years into this. I'm right, okay, and obviously my wife's like, you're obsessed with this, you just find this, you've got ADHD, you always do this type of stuff. And I think it's taken me a while to find this. I've always enjoyed, I'd say, UFC. And I didn't like the idea of getting punched. I'm like 30, 31. I'm like, I ain't got time for this. Like, I got a face for podcasting as anyway. I don't need to make any worse, right? And so when jiu-jitsu came along, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And yeah, now I've got lovely why have you not asked me about my cauliflower ear? Like, I'm really upset about this.
Yeah, they're pretty decent.
I wanted to bring that up. I was like, what's going on? Obviously, it's not impressive enough.
They're speaking for themselves, don't worry.
There we go. The other one's going. It's growing slowly. But
you're proud of those, aren't you? Huh? Like a little extra trophy that you get for competing.
Oh, yeah, fine.
The joke thing was, for everyone's benefit that didn't see this, when we were at Nottingham MMA, we were doing no-gi and we were doing collar ties, and you kept moaning at me for slapping your ear. You've got about a foot height on top of me. I'm trying to get my arm above your neck. If I slap your ear by accident, it's not intentional, mate. I can barely see your ear from my height. I'm just trying to grab the first thing.
I was just saying go for the other ear, because that one was starting to get raw and everything, and I was just like, it was just painful stuff, and I couldn't even sleep on it. That was the problem. And then the fact you're there going like, oh, collar tie, yeah, bang. Yeah. And I'm like, cheers, mate, thank you.
I will slap them on pretty tight.
They're like so painful when they're swollen.
Yeah. So I was due to compete on Sunday, did a really extreme sport of dog walking, and rolled my ankle, and really badly.
Oh, I was looking at it earlier. Is it still swollen?
Yeah. Like that one's like horrendously swollen in the sense of it type of stuff. And like I was really annoyed. I messaged my opponent because again, like it was quite a small bracket. There was only 3 of us, and I was like, sorry, mate, it's a bit awkward, obviously, with the page in the sense that, and again, guys, if I do ever come up, if either me or Tom ever compete, I know Tom doesn't do opening loads, but at the same time, like,
thanks for calling me out. Appreciate that.
Mate, you love your default bronze. You talk about it with pride.
I've only got 1 medal, and it is a default bronze. So I'm proud of that default bronze because my little boy comes up to me and goes, "Dad, you win the medal?" And I go, "Yeah, I won it. I won it. Yeah, 100%. I won it."
If I do come up against anyone who's following this page, I'm not being horrible. I'll be nice to you beforehand, like. But when we come to that competition, Matt, and stuff like that, I just don't want to talk to you, if I'm honest. Yeah. I'll chat to you afterwards as much as you want about the podcast, but I'll send a friendly message here and there, like, that'll be it. But it'll be a case of, we'll have a good match and we'll talk.
I had a few of those in UK comps where it was all like super stony, and then afterwards they go, oh, by the way, I really like Scramble. You're like, oh, okay, thanks. Why don't you let me win then? Don't like it that much.
Oh, we're going to clip that. That's 100% going as a clip. Why don't you let me win then?
Fantastic.
You've just lost your discount code.
Yeah. We do have another question for you. We thought about this very hard and long on the way down. If you have a choice, well, you don't have a choice. This is your choices. The only music you can listen to is Elton John, or
for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life, or Gordon Ryan narrates your life.
Oh, that's bad.
You got to pick one.
Pick one. I pick Elton.
I pick Elton. There's almost no hesitation.
No, that voice. No, Elton. And I hate Elton.
I know. That's why I picked up on your story. I think the other day saying people growing on about that. I felt bad because I actually enjoyed the set. Because originally when people said about how. What was it? When they said it was Elton John, I was like, oh, God, right. I'm not the biggest fan of it. And I'm like, it's like, I've always said, if you put this person in modern day, where would they be? Would they even be anything? And it's like, possibly not. Who knows? And then I watched it and I was like, he actually tried to put on a good performance. And I was like, okay, I'm taking back. I know some of the songs. It's not some of the, and don't get me wrong, there's some other Drury songs in there. But I was like, okay, he's actually tried to do something.
Yeah, but then that his songs, it's being... exaggerated. The effect is exaggerated by this kind of dramatic setting, in my opinion. I'm fairly serious about music. Lots of different genres. As a teenager, I was obsessed. My identity was the music I was into.
Yep.
I've never in my life put an Elton John song on. Like I've never gone, I need to listen to that now, ever.
Yeah, I think I'll probably sit in that camp, right? And then so when I listen to it, seen the performance about this, because I'm going to get probably so much flack for this in terms of this. I cannot stand like really dreary bands, okay? Arctic Monkeys have some good songs and there's some really dreary shit. Now there's some good songs which are all right? And I'd say that. Coldplay, is it Coldplay? No, who's the one with Liam Gallagher in it?
Or why Noel the fuck Gallagher? Are you asking me?
I don't know. What's the band with it? Noel Gallagher,
I hope this is some sort of in-joke.
No.
What's the one with Liam Gallagher in it? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm being serious. I can't remember what the name is.
Oasis.
Dreariest fucking band in the world.
Get out.
And
this is
cut, that's
over.
it, yeah, bye.
Right, dreariest fucking band in the world. Like, unless I'm drunk and like
Not
everyone
kidding.
else is singing.
Can you actually leave?
I tried.
You know when I said
Sorry,
my
guys,
entire,
that's it. Yeah,
my entire teenage identity was based on music.
Fuck. I could have picked any other band.
You were hoping it was like metal. Matt's like a secret metalhead that you don't know about.
No, it could be anything. You could be into trance when you could be off to Ibiza every summer, like getting completely pissed out with bloody what's his face in Ocean Beach. But
Yeah, no, I do like Oasis. Yeah,
Nice one, Jay.
they had a heyday though, and then they did. Go
don't worry, we're closest to Tommy anyway, so it's fine. But like I said, I find them really dreary.
Yeah,
Like that's it. I don't like it. No.
I mean they definitely dropped off, but they were pretty iconic back in the day.
Way to stick your foot in it. You're really good at that. You know that. Like, you're fantastic. I need to get you like media trained and see how you get on.
Yeah, but then that doesn't make content. It gets the people
True.
going.
Yeah.
We've got several questions left for you, Matt. There's loads. I hope you don't have any time restraints.
I'm getting hungry. That's about it.
That's right. That's cool.
I know I'm getting
we'll
hungry.
shoot some
It's
couple
not
and then
you're
we'll
low or
go.
anything, but
So one of the ones that Jay and me decided to kind of keep in, a bit of an interesting one, is from our local big boy Joe Foy, and it's what is your most cherished failure?
and why?
Failure. What could that be? Anything?
Yeah,
Anything.
it doesn't have to be
Jiu-jitsu, outside of
related.
jiu-jitsu, business, whatever you fancy.
That's a really good question. Yeah, it's probably difficult to pin one down, but I like the question as a concept. I've failed in so many things, and but the point is to actually try them, and then kind of learn from the things that you mess up. Like I've made little company ideas that have failed. Fail at jiu-jitsu fairly regularly.
The thing is that we all.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah, don't I just?
Sorry, unless you're Gordon. That's the
I
one.
think I'm the longest blue belt in the UK.
Oh,
I
yeah,
must
but
be.
you know why. You know why.
Must be.
The longest.
It's just excuses.
Someone
But-
just likes to not attend.
It's not I don't attend, man. It's I got
Life gets in the way, man.
kids and life just get in the way. Yeah, kids and work.
You've got an alternative out. You just feel bad because
I'm not doing the alternative out. It's not worth it.
He has a school next door to him.
Forbidden school.
All right.
Name we don't mention.
Okay.
What name you don't mention? Like
Name we don't mention.
I'm from RGA. It was the first people we had on our class with my instructors.
I'm not on about RGA.
Huh?
I'm not on about. We'll talk about this.
Oh,
we
you talk about-
don't. Yeah, we don't talk about this. We don't talk about this online because
Anyway,
we get in trouble.
there's a school down the road from you could go to. Right?
There is.
Right, and he feels he still needs to have a conversation with his instructors, and I know exactly what they would say, and they would just say, if you can go and train more jiu-jitsu, go for it, right? But he feels the need that he needs to have this like breakup talk with them, right?
It's just out of a bit of respect. I've been under
Which I get.
Pedro for 7 years. It's a long
know.
time to be under one person.
But my argument is that I think everyone would want you to do more jiu-jitsu. Sorry, you're getting involved in like a
No, convenience is key.
Yeah.
It really is for all kinds of training.
The school, my gripe is where I've got 2 kids. I'm not saying if you're a dad, it's harder to train jiu-jitsu because it's not for some people.
I have 2 kids.
Where I do day shift 1 week, link shift the other. So I either start at 6:30 in the morning and then I finish at 3:15, which would be fine. But then after 3:15, it's time for kids. Bath time's at 7, classes at 6, so I can't reach the 6th class. And then a link shift, I don't start till 3 until 10. But then the morning's taken up by child getting him ready and spending time with him in the day.
I think you should always choose family over some stupid hobby.
That's it. I hang up my my blue belt. I'm done.
Controversial
There
opinion.
you go. Matt sold it to me. That's it. I'm done.
That's why you're not Gordon.
Somebody who said that to me the other day, Sebastian Brosch, I was talking to him because he came down and did a seminar.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I couldn't make it because I said I've got family stuff, and he was like, family first, always. From a like really successful, internationally known black belt
Sebastian
competitor,
Brosch is
business
a
owner.
monster.
He's like, yeah, family
If you
first.
don't mind, from my actually, I need to chat to you a little bit off air as well. So again, my wife's just started up her own horse brand company. So with like boots, bridles, things like that. And she'd love to pick your brain about different things. But from my perspective, obviously having to juggle 2 consultancies, a potential event that we're putting on, my own life, my own sports, stuff like that. Is there any sort of tips that you have in terms of trying to get that all balanced? I'm very much happy to accept I will be shit at some stuff.
I just sort of usually, I I try to make sure that by the end of the day, I feel like I've done everything that I could without going too far. So I pretty much turn my phone is muted from sort of 7 p.m. till 8 a.m.
Okay.
And if I can avoid it, I won't look at it. Because the danger of if you're running your own business or multiple projects, you're on it 24/7, you'll burn out. I was doing that, and after a while it was killing me. So I had to make a rule, basically no work in the evenings. I come here usually at like 8:30 and work. I'm pretty mentally done by about 3 or 4.
We'll email you then.
Yeah, no, and that's it. And then I go home and that's
we'll
it.
Get the podcast through. Like we'll purposely send it at like.
You won't get an answer till the next day.
Oh, sorry, Matt. We've already posted it.
I just think you have to be strict about times when you're not working and not let it creep in, because things feel urgent, but they're not.
Was there like a final burnout that you kind of said, I need to do something about it?
No, I've had a couple of stages. One in the early days when my second son was born. I think I just quit, or was just about to quit. I had a full-time job that I was working in, and I think I can't fucking handle this. So Ben was my business partner at the time. I said, can you just take over for a little bit, and like moved all the stock to his house, set up the printer there or whatever, and he took the reins for a while, and then managed to balance it out. And then I suppose the other one was when I was fucking replying to people at like 11 p.m. and then waking up the next morning and doing the same thing. I think I was taking loads of things super personally. I think we released one product and it had a defect or something, and every review, every reply, every email that came in about the product being defective, I was feeling like deeply, and it started to really fucking do my head in. And I thought, I need a little bit of separation here. Like, factory's made a mistake, we can fix it. I don't need to feel personally responsible to these hundreds of customers. So that, I think, was a bit of a lesson in separating myself from the company. It's two completely different things. So like if you start your own business, you are the company in the beginning.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to have some separation, otherwise you'll go bonkers.
Yeah. Nice.
It's difficult if you're a consultant though, because you're consulting.
Don't get me wrong, we'll be looking to take on some interns from our university. They've obviously broken up and stuff, and obviously get them to do some of the dog's body, I'm not going to lie, some of that sort of stuff, social media stuff, which obviously takes time, which is obviously there. But yeah, it's I like the idea of passing it down to...
It's in the pipe, isn't it? We got stuff coming, people moving. Yeah, we're looking at stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
I don't know, do you want to do the guest question?
You got any other questions?
Have I got any other questions for Matt? How do you balance playing your games the way that you do? Because you play more games than I do, and I love it. I think it's great.
I love playing computer games. I was PC gaming for years, and then I bought a PS5, which I really like, because I get bad shoulder pains if I use PC for too long. So I use it all day here, and then go home.
Bad shoulder pains, not from jiu-jitsu. Not from jiu-jitsu, from gaming.
Not from dislocating my shoulders multiple times.
Or people trying to dislocate your shoulder multiple times.
I basically, once all of the kids are in bed, all the jobs are done, and then I'll just sit down and play computer games. I love it.
I messaged Matt probably a week ago now, wasn't it? And you were posted up Final Fantasy 16. I was like, I'm so fucking jealous of you right now.
Final Fantasy 16. Ooh, I'm a little bit on the fence about it.
Don't. I've not watched any trailers. I've not watched anything about it.
It's no Elden Ring. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
See,
you're a very big proponent of
I'm a little bit of a gamer, but at the same time, like, I have one element of gaming what I like, and it's just achievements and getting like skins.
If you like achievements, play Elden Ring. It will punish you beyond belief.
Yeah, I know, but that's the problem. It's like I'm happy with repetitiveness and like.
Oh, it's repetitive. Don't worry.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I my setup is obviously for me. It'll be the latest Call of Duty. I will go on hardcore mode on shipment, and I will just go and get 10 crouch kills and work my way through all the gun camos. I don't enjoy any of the rest of the game. I'm not interested in the rest of the game.
I played Cyberpunk and I completed it, but it's like completion percentage like 27 or something. I was like, yeah, fuck it, that'll do. I'm not that guy.
See, but it'd be like, I know Far Cry would be another one, right? And I'll just get silly little things like I need to go and get all the mass to go and see the whole island.
Yeah.
Like not play the game, but like, oh, you can't get to it until you complete the certain amount of mission.
Two types of people.
Yeah.
I think, I broke away from that. I got stuck into Assassin's Creed and I 100%ed every single one up until 4. And then I was just like, I can't bother to go around and kill these whales. Just do my head in. So I stopped. And then I went back to playing Fallout. And that became a big problem because I've 100% of Fallout 3, 4, and New Vegas. And now I'm looking at 76 and I'm like, I calculated I've done over 3,000 hours in Fallout 3, which is astonishing.
I enjoy Assassin's Creed to begin with, and the problem I get is that then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What can I do to get the most strongest weapons? And then I'll find something on YouTube about it, and then I'm like, "Oh, cool! This is just really simple now."
Yeah.
And then
I really want to sit there and watch you play Elden Ring for 2 hours and try not die.
God, I hated Elden
Ring. Oh no, I know how hard it is. Like I get that. Like,
no, you don't. Not until you play it.
And then
you don't understand.
But then isn't there a samurai game that's very similar to that? Is it Dark Souls?
Sekiro.
No, Sekiro.
Yeah, that was the other one, which was like stupidly hard to play all the time, and like
very fun. After I killed the Great Ape, I was like, "This is fucking easy now."
No, I didn't enjoy it. I'd probably go back and try it again. But.
You should. I had to stop playing it for months. I went back and then I just started absolutely blitzing through it.
You definitely click with those games. Dark Souls 3 I really liked. Almost maybe better than Elden Ring.
Really? Like number 3? Ooh.
Because
see, now I like number 2. That's a problem. I like 1 and 2. And people shit all over 2. Yeah,
that's fine. Sorry, massive tangent from
Jiu-Jitsu. Anyway, yeah, sorry for Jiu-Jitsu people who don't like games.
Yeah, we talk about
nerds.
Other than Jiu-Jitsu.
So the guest question.
Oh, yes. It's a bit deep again. I'm sorry.
It is.
We sometimes get really silly stuff like, what was your favourite Disney princess? Or we get the equivalent of this, which still I like it.
So this one is, have any self-limiting beliefs ever held you back in the past, and are there any that still do so?
Yeah, I have imposter syndrome big time. Yeah. So if you're in a room full of like celebrities in our little niche sport, that's pretty difficult. Yeah, and what we were talking about earlier about not always being willing to put yourself out there. I don't know if it's limiting or not because I don't have a parallel life where I did put myself out there that I could compare it to. You know.
What do you do in secret? Do you have any fans or?
You'd know about it if I had one. I'd be.
You didn't deny it. You didn't deny it. That's the one thing. So.
I think self-limiting beliefs are probably always a factor in not being successful, but it's hard to say. I think the danger is having too much self-belief. Yeah,
love that.
Yeah, I think that is it for questions that I had and guest questions. And is there anything you want to ask? Oh, actually, I got some stuff. What's your hot take on jiu-jitsu or unpopular take on jiu-jitsu?
That no-gi is more exciting than gi.
Ooh.
I don't think that's a given.
That's interesting. Here's some other ones actually for you as well. I just realised we haven't actually asked these on a few of these. You compete, may have gone your way, may have not gone your way. What is your post-comp meal that you're having?
I mean, I don't really limit myself too much anyway. I'd have a beer. That's what I'd have.
Have a beer?
Yeah.
What type of beer?
Lager. I've gone all the way around. Oh, let's try this ale, that ale, let's this, that. No, I like good quality, crisp lager.
You ever gone with ciders at all? We're obviously from West Country.
I did like an Airbnb last year or something, or a couple of years ago in Somerset, and there was a farm next door, and the cider was spectacular. Yeah.
Well, I live 20 minutes from the Thatcher's Brewery.
There you go.
So we're like,
but
then I'm not a proper cider head.
Some fancy farm scrumpy.
Yeah,
sounds good.
I like that stuff. Last week, sometimes I feel like I have a low level allergy to beer, or something in beer. I went for a drink last week with kids from people from my son's football team, parents, and I thought I'm going to drink cider, and they only had this like 7% flat cider on the menu, and that was strong. Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Sorry to play in there, Tom. I don't even jump in. When you're going around, obviously all the other kids' parents and stuff like that, all going for beers and stuff like that. And I'm sure some of them don't know who you are, what you do, the level of how big the brand is and stuff like that. And even the shows you put on, do you kind of somewhat enjoy them not knowing you?
Yeah.
Or again, do you sometimes like, is there some moments where, I don't know, they may say something, you're like, you've got no idea on how to market a brand?
Yeah, no,
like,
I don't feel like a big deal at all. But so I don't conduct myself like that. But it is sometimes, you know, people are curious and they say, yeah, I've got like a brand and we do an event and, oh, can I have a look? And then I show them and Polaris is like 100,000 followers on Instagram and they're like, oh, cool.
It's not Dave who's made his own like little micro brewery type of thing down the pub type stuff.
Yeah, it's probably the second best jiu-jitsu show in the whole world. Oh, that's cool. I've got a few of them have come down to watch, actually. Yeah, they end up having a good time. Yeah.
I bet you probably get a little bit more of a kick out of seeing them turn up.
Yeah.
Than like, I don't know. Again, nothing against obviously the fans and followers type of thing, but
no, it's nice to see them and the kids sometimes bring their friends. Yeah, it's good. But then when the matches get boring, everyone's just like, because even for us, they can get boring if you've got no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's more like, it comes across like more genuine support, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it's nice.
It's something which I say to, obviously we have multiple clients who obviously lose a lot of weight, right? And obviously they get their closer friends that, oh, you look great, you're looking great, you've lost a bit of weight, you're looking fantastic, that type of stuff. And I know, again, from being in a similar sort of circumstances, should we say, that it doesn't feel as genuine as someone who hasn't seen you for like, let's say, 5 years. We had a good reaction lot when obviously the unfortunate incident stopped people from seeing each other on Zoom type of thing. And so once that all settled and people saw each other for the first time, they're like, wow, what the fuck have you done? And they're like, oh, I've worked with this nutritionist.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and then they'll see it to me. So that's quite nice and obviously quite genuine because they haven't seen them for that amount of time type of thing. But that must be quite surreal. Like
it's nice to get that
genuine sort of feedback type of thing. And obviously get that support as well, which is cool. But
I guess it's nice to have a bit of anonymity again because, you know.
Yeah, kind of prefer it like that.
I was going to say, you know, especially if you're with the brands that you run, you know, Scramble being like, you know, the big one, and then Polaris, and then, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I guess what you must find as well is a lot of the people bleed over from all of them into one. So with Unathletic, all the jiu-jitsu guys are like, oh yeah, like I like that too, and I'll buy this too because it's all similar to it.
I've said I'm surprised the bodybuilding world hasn't taken this up massively.
I am as well. I think it will. I think it will, or at least CrossFit just to have a laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to market Unathletic more, but that squads USA versus Brazil was having beers with the US team afterwards, and we were talking about, I don't know, the next Polaris or something, and hands around it, yeah, awesome. And they went, so do you work for Polaris? I was like, we've been fucking talking for the last hour. Yes, I do.
That's fantastic.
It must be kind nice of a moment where it's the flip side, like, I'm kind of a big deal. Do you know?
Not at all. But then it just made me think, like, wow, we really don't put ourselves out there much at all.
But it's also kind of nice because, like, I get the whole thing of the brand having a figurehead, but it's also quite nice to know there's a team behind the Scrabble that people kind of don't know too well, you know, because
it's just not necessary. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah,
I guess that is where I fall on the matter. It's not necessary. It's like, I'm not delivering people's parcels.
What?
Yeah.
I expected you.
Well, I am posting that out. Yeah. It's just not necessary.
No, I think it's quite nice, obviously, from my perspective with the BJJ nutrition stuff. I've got Tom supporting me. Like, you've even had some like more following and that type of stuff, obviously, which is quite nice and that type of thing. And
most of the people that follow me on Instagram were following me for my photography shit that I was doing years ago. But then I started finding that I was hunting for likes, and I was obsessed with like posting stuff at a specific time, specific hashtags. I fell into that trap like really early days of Instagram.
I'm living it.
Before people like put up like pictures of their salad and stuff like that, I was like the very first adopters of like when it was an iPhone.
You had an iPhone?
I had an iPhone 3, mate. I had a BlackBerry Curve first, and then I went to an iPhone afterwards. I'm old. I'm very old.
You still got an Apple product, just to clarify this.
No, I don't own any Apple products anymore. And I've also converted my partner to Android now as well. Sorry.
You're just I don't know.
It's just a better phone, bro. That's all. I'm not shitting on anything else Apple. I just prefer the phone. Like, if someone says to me, here's a MacBook Pro, I'd be like, fucking yeah, I'm going to use a MacBook Pro.
As long as I don't have to pay for it.
Correct. Yeah. I would, like, the software-wise for Apple is fantastic. But yeah, I think in terms of following, I mean, yeah, I think since I started Jiu-Jitsu in general, because when I started, it would have been...
I think
7-8 years ago now. So
the point I was getting at is that you've rolled with people and stuff like that, and you're like, you're the guy who did the podcast. I heard your podcast. That
was really weird. Like, I have people coming up to me and being like, "Oh yeah, did you do the podcast with Jay with Dan Strauss?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How the fuck?" I didn't have a mic at the time, so I don't know how people fucking knew it was me. But I'm not complaining. Do you know what I mean? It's nice, but I don't know. It's like we said at the beginning. It's kind of like, when we started doing it, I was like, oh man, it'd be so much fun to do this. And now it's become like, just have to keep doing it.
Yeah,
like,
we're looking
we just got to keep doing it. It's just so much fun.
I know, obviously, again, it's not obviously you've got your insurance stuff, but we're really looking forward, obviously, to Grapple Fest and obviously meeting all the people, obviously, up there and that type of stuff. I didn't bring it.
Oh, you didn't bring the grip strength training? Oh no!
Everyone loves this. You got away with it.
I thought I had quite a good grip as well.
We had heard rumours you were going to beat Dan Strauss. Like,
easy.
Yeah.
There you go, Dan. You've been called out again. So many people have called Dan out.
I must have pissed him off because at the last Polaris Open mat, he absolutely murdered me. I mean, he would have done it anyway, but it felt personal.
Yeah.
I love it.
Is this going to be the next matchup that you're announcing on Polaris?
Yeah, on Polaris.
Dan Strauss versus
Matt
Benyon.
The headline fight. Yeah. Well, fight or match? Are we saying fight or fights on Polaris?
I don't care.
Matches?
You can call it a fight.
No,
I honestly don't care. It's just another thing that people love to argue about on social media for no reason.
It's fine. I can't wait to see you be the poster boy for the absolute GP you're putting on, yeah? Come take me on.
No, I'm going to enter the contenders.
Yeah.
Beat all the good guys in the UK.
Yeah. There you go. Entry level, you have to beat Matt first, and then you can...
I like that. Yeah, beat me first, and that qualifies, yeah.
That's like old school, like Wing Chun Grandmaster, isn't it? It's like, to enter my school, you have to lay a hit on me
traditional
first.
DJ storming as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, my school's better than your school. All right, let's have a scrap. There we go. Cool. I don't think we've got any more questions, to be fair. No, I think we're just rambling on for the sake of it. But
I think so.
Matt, thank you very much for having us and obviously being a guest. Thanks for putting up with obviously our
saying obviously all the time.
Yeah, that's the one. You probably noticed it's probably annoying the shit out of you now, probably more than anything else. But yeah,
he's got to make a t-shirt out of you now, obviously.
Oh God. Actually, I have one more final question. We keep on thinking of really cool little like slogans for t-shirts and stuff.
Hang on, look, just to preface this, I might not like it.
It's fine
because I get sent suggestions all day long, and I go,
well, you didn't shoot down my Tesco only brand rash guard. Like, part of me thinks that it might.
You might need to review the footage.
Yeah. His face is Jay's mind's like, this is amazing. Matt loved it, and I'm like, his face is like, no, cut. Yeah, we keep on thinking. We get little things of all this type of stuff, and putting stuff on t-shirts all the time. I'm like, is it worth the hassle just to put it on just for like cheesy stuff? So. We had Ashley Bendel say single legs don't work, for example. And it was like, sounds like a bit of a unique phrase. We had, what was the other ones that we've had before? Dan Strauss, like, what we all really hate is karate.
That's got more legs than the single leg thing.
Yeah. And then what else did we add? The Return of the Nuki King. So there's a guy who's local who he used to basically go to the Nuki competition, just beat everyone all the time at Nuki, nowhere else.
I mean, I like that because it has a backstory, and you probably get a bunch of local diehards that would buy it.
Yeah.
I think it just depends, doesn't it? Like, it's like with Unathletic, it's all the stuff that you've gone, a little bit less professional, but it's got to go out there.
That was it. I like to trend. I think it's like, train.
Yeah, those are good.
Trend hard. Stuff like that. Yeah,
those are good. I might do an Acai and Jesus one.
Oh my God, please do it. Please.
Didn't Grapple Machine do that?
Probably.
They made some stringers.
I think they might have actually.
Yeah, I've got one that just says "Big muscles are really cool." It's like a cartoon.
That's fucking awesome.
But it's a bit too sort of childish. I don't know.
No, it's not. Do it. I'd buy that. That's fucking great.
Yeah.
I've literally got so many unmade items for Unathletic because it's just easy.
It's
Shooting
endless. I think it is that you can just
shooting
keep
ducks in a
going.
barrel.
Yeah.
Love it.
All the
Right,
time.
let's sign off there because everyone's hungry.
No, that's right. Well, anyway, thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, nice to see you.